Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright.
Yep, 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 yep. You see that J Rich comedy? He said, what's good? What's happening? What's the word? Welcome to another session of Hope. We are absolutely juiced and excited to be here. Another day. We're gonna drop a lot more game and exchange some ideas and values and contributions. So this class, I'm expecting to get a lot of class participation because I'm gonna be asking questions. So hopefully you guys got your thinking caps on. When was the last time you heard that word, thinking caps? Thinking caps, put them on, because this is designed to pull out from you and exchange so that the information could get rooted a little deeper. So it's gonna be a dope class. So let's get started. Let's get it cracking. So we're still on ego as an enemy. We're still at the beginning of ego as the enemy. So those of you who haven't got the book yet, please buy it. You can get it on anything, Audible, Amazon, whatever, but get into that book. It's a quick read, but it's very, very dense and powerful in terms of its impact, immediate impact. For most of us who've been at Hope for a few years, you already know. And the beauty about this book is every time you read it, it's perfect timing still. It's perfect timing still. So if you've read it 5 times, each of those 5 times have been perfect timing still. Like, damn, I needed this. Because and that helps us realize that It's not a quick read and I read it and I'm done. And okay, I read ego as an enemy. My ego is good now. Like, no, it's not. It's like tuning up a piano that's been sitting for 100 years. You got to constantly keep tuning it. Go back every 6 months, every year, or whatever, because it's going to get out of tune. Because as humans, that's how we built. So let's start with the recap. Just a reminder still, because the word ego is an enemy, we know ego is not the enemy. All right? Just know that. Ego is not your enemy, but that's the name of the book. We can't change it, the outside, but the inside is what we're talking about. So, some recap. We talked about pick me and the Willy Wonka theory. And so the focus as entrepreneurs and at what wolves do is they pick themselves and create their opportunities. Period, point blank. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And those who are not wolves, who we call dogs versus wolves, they're waiting for the opportunity. They raising their hand and they're waiting. And if they don't get it, then they'll just sit there and wait. Yeah. There's cornballs in here today. So that's the difference. You ever heard of the terms? It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. You ever heard the term? I'd rather be carried by 6 than judged by 12.
Yeah.
No,
You heard that one?
heard that one.
There's lots of terms out there that put dogs against wolves, wolves against dogs every time, and basically throughout history, they're expanding the comparison between wolves and dogs. We're not the first ones to do it. But if you go back in history and look at some of those sayings, it's really wolves having wolf talk. So so the pick me versus creating your own opportunity is another one. Those of us who are entrepreneurs, and if you have a product business, maybe even a service business, maybe you're a musician or whatever you do. If you release a product, boom, and it duds, what do? Do it again, learn from it, do it better. There's some people, and I've done it too. I drop something. And while I'm making it, oh man, this shit's gonna be fire, man. This is gonna blow me up. This is the one right here. This the one. And you let a couple people hear it, and they like, whoo, that's fire. Or see it, they're like, man, that's the one. And then you give it to the crowd, and they, right? And a lot of times, people just let it die. Fuck, I failed. It's over. You know how many great inventions, great products, great songs, great everything died or sitting in the cemetery right now just because even though you were an entrepreneur in title, you were a pick me person in execution. The crowd didn't like it. I just dropped it once. I released it once. The crowd didn't like it. I guess I failed. You know, there's several, more than a dozen, lots of best-selling authors, best-selling books that when they released the product, it didn't do well. They came back. They changed the cover of the book. Had a better graphic designer make the font of the book, the cover of the book different, and re-released it, and it was bestseller. That's a wolf. So in theory, it's like, yep, get it, learn from it, and move on. In practice, that quickness of recovery and re-execution is wolf mindset. Because to a wolf, you ain't gonna eat. You ain't gonna eat. This is how I ate. I invested this money into this product for future income. And in this moment it didn't work. What can I learn from it? How can I get better? What can I tweak? How can I improve it? A couple years back, I gave the story of a video I watched. A tiger was chasing a monkey throughout the jungle. It was a real video. Tiger chasing a monkey throughout the jungle. And the monkey scaled this tree. And the tiger tried to jump up and scale the tree to get the monkeys, and he slid down. He tried again, slid down. You know what the tiger did? He sat there at the base of that tree, sharpening his claws against the base of the tree. Imagine if you were the monkey looking down watching that. Oh, shit. Because I got to eat. So I'm either going to get you or I'm going to get you. There's only two choices. Pick one. That tiger sat there and sharpened his claws at the base of that tree. And when his claws were sharp enough, he scaled that tree and got that monkey. That's the concept. That's the mentality. Next thing on the recap, right versus winning. So this is also connected to ego as enemy in the book, but a lot of us place way more importance of being right versus the actual win. So the question you have to ask, and you can write this down, in any situation is, what is my intention in blank, in this situation, in this relationship, in this interaction, in this engagement? What's my intention? And when you can answer that, it may very well change the skew and the hue of the interaction. So if I'm driving down on my way to a big presentation where I can make a generous amount of money, and somebody cuts me off, I honk, he honks. He says some shit, I say some shit back. He points to the side of the road, and I'm like, what's up then? The question is, what is my intention? Was it to find him and fight him on the side of the road? Or was it to knock out this presentation and grow my business? Once you lock in on your intentions, you're like, oh, what am I doing? Man, peace. I'll see you later. A lot of times engaging with customers, do we want to be right or do we want to win? Do we want to be right or do we want to win? Hey, I don't like the way this is cut. This seems like it's like 17 inches. You made it and you know it's 19 inches. Well, actually, you're wrong. It's 19. Okay, well then take your 19-inch sweater then, and I don't want it no more. Is the intention to be right, or is the intention to win? Winners think differently. Winners sometimes look like cowards in situations. Someone asked a question last week about getting taken advantage of. If you feel you were taken advantage of, then you were. Because you know inside that you compromised something in the interaction. But a lot of times winners, they'll walk away with a smile on their face and it look like they lost. But they won. They won. In sports, it was like that. You think about that in sports where kids get into little scuffles and sometimes on purpose to get kicked out, to kick somebody out the game, or they trash talk each other. You ever see somebody go look at the scoreboard? Yeah, you talking all that shit. I don't care. Look at the scoreboard. We beating you by 30. Look at the scoreboard. That's, do I want to be right or do I want to win? So in every interaction, you have to ask, what is my intention?
I was just going to ask a business question about the right or win. So I've been having this internal dilemma because one of the upgrades to our new space was absorbing the friction of parking. I'm in a very small neighborhood. Parking really sucks. And so I got a building where we have a private parking lot and I have to pay for each space every month. And so, we got everything labeled and put up all the signs and stuff, but we constantly have people parking on our lot. And so the one side of me is like, yo, fuck out my lot. Like, it's my spots, I pay for them. But then there's like the other side of me where I know that I have to be very aware of how I engage with the public because these are all going to impact my business reputation. And so there's this side of like legalities of like, this is private parking. This is like only for members. Each space is labeled. There's signs. There's the tow thing. But then like trying to find the balance between how to handle it where I'm not damaging credibility, but I'm setting a boundary for people to understand that this is the rule here. How do you approach something like that? Because I feel like it's a very right or win type of situation.
Absolutely, it can be a right or win situation. I think there's lots of variables that you have to look at outside of just somebody parking in the spot, right? You have to spread out your variables. Who are these people parking in the spot? Are they regulars? It's your reputation in your community that you're in. They could be potential customers, or they not, or they could be potential referrals, or they're not. Is it empty in there to where none of your customers have an issue, have a problem with parking? The other question is it interfering with your customer flow because you're paying for it? There's lots of variables to open up, to look at, to consider before you just run out there and be like, get out my spot. Because over time, right and wrong is so relative, it's not even funny. Right and wrong is so relative. So you're creating the frame. That sign and everything is just creating the frame and the rules. You have an opportunity to execute it in a way that can build you up in the community or tear you down. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you pay for those spots for your customers. Yes, the money's in. But it's not, remember, in marketing, is not what you think you are, it's what the customers, is what the crowd says, is what the people say. So if these are regulars that's going into the coffee shop across the street from your shop, who are all maybe potential people who create buzz in the community, that's something to consider. I couldn't really answer it until I sat down and did the same thing with you and say, all right, what are the pros and cons? Like, what's the best move? What move works? What move works? Because them parking in your spot might be good. It may be a win for you. Because what's up sometimes is down, and what's down sometimes is up in entrepreneurship. So this is the second half of last week's class, really in motion for you. It's first principle and second order thinking and laying out the variables. Just real quick, can I say that symmetrical and asymmetrical shit last week was so fucking crazy? Was it just me?
No.
Like, that shit was crazy. Anyways, I think that's the answer.
Can I jump in real quick on a little bit of that? So if you go back to the also the theory last week of probability progression, which is if you have a success of 93% at the end of a year per second or per day, 47 or 48% of your day may go bad, right? And there's a rules of thirds also that says, there's another theory of thirds that says each day of business, 1/3 is going to be good part of the day, 1/3 is going to be just mundane, and the other third will be crappy, right? But in that probability progression, I think we focus on ourselves. We didn't think about managing. So if you're managing a staff, you don't manage them that you need a whole bunch of excellent performers. Do they all perform to a level that they allow you to hit the 93%? That means you're going to have some people who are, they're inconsistent in their performances, or they might be mediocre, but they fit the equation and still reach 93%. Also, on the right versus wrong, in order for you to be successful, you got to be wrong a lot. Let me say this again. I want you to think, I'm just reversing the way he's saying and reframe it, but I want you to feel that. In order for you to be successful, you got to be wrong a lot. You can't be, based upon probability, you have to be wrong a certain amount of times for you to have a successful win. You got to be right more than wrong, but you have to have a high percentage. It might be 56, 54. That means a large percent of your life is going to be wrong, right? And so you got to get used to, like, in a conversation with somebody, you're wrong. Let it go, because you're playing the long game. The long game is, I got to win this long game. I was talking to somebody at the gym today and talking about their relationship, and they was talking about the knowledge they gathered from being in the class. And I said, you know what? But in that knowledge, sometimes you need to be wrong because they're right for where they are. And that knowledge you have, if you keep showing them that you're right, then you also become the face of shaming and judging. So then you have to work on being wrong more often to balance their perception. So, because in the end, you're trying to play the long game of keeping your marriage together. So the right wrong thing is, if you just have a pure relationship with right and wrong, often you're destroying the long-term story. Even with your employees. Sometimes you gotta let them make their own mistakes. So you gotta let them do something wrong. You know it's wrong, and you know you can handle the cost or whatever that is. Let them fall, but once they learn from that lesson, they become a solid player the other side. So right and wrong, often it's such a low frequency form of thinking, you can't even reach. There's another level of thinking that you can't even see. If I talked about another layer of thinking, the right and wrong literally is like the wall that keeps you from even seeing this upper higher level, which is, I'm gonna just say real quick, you're too micro to see macro issues. So macro issues are flying over your head every day, but your brain is consumed with, all your attention span is so micro that you're missing these bigger stories, and then you keep losing out on these bigger things.
Dope. Anybody know what a business smarter is?
I was gonna say I could take a suggestion because I know what a martyr is, but somebody who sacrifices themselves to make the business get better.
Okay, anybody else? Skirt. As it relates to the ego, and I'm not going to give the answer yet. We're going to go through the Ego as the Enemy book, but I want to get the consensus or the thought process, the theory. Business smarter. Anybody know what a business kamikaze is? You know what kamikaze?
Oh my god!
I apologize.
So it's like kamikaze pilots, or the pilots who would, in order to kill the enemy, would kill themselves by crashing their plane into them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing a business kamikaze is somebody who uses their business to create a business to kill another business, possibly, but it's hurting themselves in the process. Yeah.
Good guess. Anybody else?
Can I give an example real quick? Jeff,
It's like guilty with explanation.
yeah, no, because I'm like, maybe I'm explaining wrong, but like, for example, like Jeff Bezos created a company to sell shoes to compete with a competitor, online shoe selling competitor, and would purposely lower their prices to where he was losing money on each sale just for that business to die. So I don't know. I was
I understand,
Yeah.
but that's not, it's a good guess, but it's not what it is.
okay.
I would say a business kamikaze might be. I forgot. I was listening to him. That was interesting, but I forgot. Anybody else?
Nobody else? All right.
Okay, so can you tell us what a kamikaze is outside of a drink?
He just explained it.
That was accurate.
That was accurate.
Okay.
That was absolutely accurate.
No. I don't know what it is, so that's why I'm asking.
okay.
Was that an accurate representation of what it was?
Yeah,
I
that-
wasn't
the-
saying you were wrong.
His definition of a kamikaze was correct.
Okay, so
Did she turn it to a drink though?
She did.
because it is a
She
drink.
did.
I'm a former bartender. Y'all
You
know
listen
I
to
hate my
T-Pain?
Wait till Martin Luther King becomes a drink. Grandkids are in trouble.
Next person.
Y'all bet not. Y'all bet not.
Oh, we're going to Black Hill.
Y'all bet not.
I would say is a business kamikaze is a person who entrepreneur who is willing to take a risk in order to make sure his business reaches its goal.
Another good guess.
Definitely not.
Don't pass it over here.
Thank you, sir. My guess is since the kamikaze sacrifices themselves, somebody who's willing to sacrifice their business and themselves to be right.
Looks like we have a winner. Yeah. He answered the question and made the bomb sound himself. I got you.
Like my own self.
Yeah. That sounds extreme, doesn't it? It sounds crazy extreme, doesn't it? You knocked that shit out. Why don't you grab the mic and say it again? Is that it right there? Yeah.
Okay. My explanation was, huh? Is the bad one?
Yeah, sounds horrible.
Bad mic. I'll just leave this here. Somebody who's willing to burn down their business and themselves just to be right.
It's extreme. It sounds extreme. It sounds crazy, don't it? But you will be surprised how many of us do it on a macro or micro level every day. Every day. Because think about it. Think about how challenging entrepreneurship is from the gate. It's hard. The sacrifices you make to be an entrepreneur, the partying that you don't do, the stuff you don't do to be an entrepreneur, the kamikazes you don't drink.
Holding on to
She love that kamikaze, don't you? Think about how challenging entrepreneurship is as a whole. To grow and build this thing one brick at a time for years. For you to get into some situations where it's a right and wrong, and you're willing to sacrifice your whole business for that moment just to be right. It's extreme, but we do it all the time. We press the fuck it button. That's what I call it. Fuck it. Whatever happened, happens. But I'm not. This is I'm not gonna let you disrespect me. You're wrong. It's general principle. You should know this. We carry all of these invisible conversations in our head and rules about how things are supposed to be because of that low vibration, low frequency way of thinking, which is right and wrong. And we become basically business martyrs or business kamikazes. We'll crash our business into the side of a wall for our rightness. It's true. And if we're playing the long game, we have to exercise way more emotional agility than that and think that question we ask, what is my intention in this? Is to be right or to win? How much have I invested in this business? And am I willing to throw it all away in this moment right now? Question.
Debating on if I should ask this in public, but I'm going to because I'm sure there's somebody else that's thinking it too. So everyone starts their business for different reasons, motivations, coming from different spaces, right? Like we all have different ecosystems. When you were talking, it was making me think about the transition of thought process and framing between strategy of long game and short game. And my brain ponders into the area of just how many of us don't understand how to grasp consciously transitioning our thought process in the long game, either from lack of exposure or just not having the right tools, but wanting to make that transition transparently. I struggle with long game thinking because no one in my life thought long term. It was like eat or be eaten. I'm gonna defend what's mine today. And so when I grew my business, it started off from a healing space of I lost a child. I need to be here if I want to see Gabby grow up. So I got to make some immediate changes. So it's like a culture shock. And then as I started growing my business, it was I picked up a few clients. I raised my prices. Nana convinced me to open a gym. I got better equipment. I moved to a bigger building. But all this time, I would lie and just be giving you a highlight reel if I said, oh, I planned for this. I knew exactly what was going to happen, right? I didn't have the ability to think 10 years ago that I'd be here. And even in me trying to think about 10 years in the future, I have these dreams and aspirations that feel crazy to me, but I would be very dishonest if I said that I know how to think long term. So what does that process look like for somebody that is desiring to make their primary thought process transitioning into long term versus short term thinking because they're focused in a scarcity or survivor mindset? They don't really know how to unlock that way of thinking.
Well, good question. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who've experienced this, because if you came from poverty and you were raised in environments where it was cutthroat, then most of your life you learned how to be what we call transactional, right? So a transactional is in the moment. I'm hungry today. I'm hungry right now. Somebody's like, yeah, play the long game. Play the long game. Play the long game with food. I'm starving right now. So if I don't eat right now, then I'm going to die right now. There ain't no long game, right? So
I just wanted to add a little bit of context because I could see how my statement can make people judgmental or defensive. I will say that, yes, I grew my business being very transactional in the beginning, and I don't want to dismiss ownership, but I had no bad intentions. I just didn't know any different because I think a lot of times people will demonize the behavior of being transactional, or because they're like, oh, well, I'm not transactional because I care about my clients, or I have a good product, or I do all these XYZ things. Even if you have a good service, care about your products and all of the things and build a nice space, it doesn't mean that you're not transactional. And I think that that's the piece that I'm looking for is what does the difference look like? Because even if your intention and your heart and your impact that you want is in it, it can still be transactional and not feeding into your long-term picture.
all right. So
That's a big question, by the way.
what'd you say?
That's a huge.
It's a huge question, but
Huge.
let me go back to the first part, because let's take away the judgment. We're talking. Let's get to it. Scarcity mindset is rampant amongst our people. We come from
Normal.
The hood. We come from the hood, right? So that piece is what we call, that's regular, right? That's normal. We come from it. It's also part of the issue, right? Now, with all that being said, it is still just a story. It's just a story that we're telling ourselves. Anytime you say, I'm this way because, whatever comes after that is just your story. Because right and wrong, truth, that shit is arbitrary and irrelevant, and it's just for you to believe it. So whatever I can say for me to believe it, then that's what's going to stick. You can change your story just like you can change some socks once you decide to, right? So yes, that's where we come from. But in entrepreneurship, once you decide to be an entrepreneur for the long game, you got to change your story. Your story has to change, because every human being that you interact with is money potentially. Is money.
But you know what though? I think because I'm dealing with a lot of the people I watch that happen all the time. I think it's a step.
Well, let me go through.
Okay.
I got like 4 layers to go through.
Okay.
So everybody stop. Like,
Okay.
Let me go all the way to the end, and then y'all can jump in.
Okay.
So it's money potentially. So when I say that, it's not like you're salivating like dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. It's meaning every human being is an opportunity, either 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, for me to improve my business. So you can't move like everybody else moves, and all your relationships have to be relational and not transactional. So if they're relational, if they're transactional, it's, hey, I need what I need right now. Regardless of what your natural tendencies are. Relational says, I need this for the long game. I don't know, who knows what. I may have a tendency to be transactional in the moment, but I'm not, because people can sense transactional people. They can sense it. Your customers can sense it. Friends can sense it. And a lot of times it creates loneliness, because you've dealt in situations in such transactional ways, because it's a habit, that you ain't practiced the muscle of being relational yet. So once you start practicing relational, when you're relational with people, to say, man, I want to play the long game. I don't care about being right now. I don't care about the short term right now. I'm willing to give this person's money back, not because of the today, but for the tomorrow's relationship. That is a practice, and it ain't easy. It's not easy at all. But you got to understand that relational is the glue and the blueprint for entrepreneurship. Right now, the emotional side of where you come from is a healing. It's a healing, because scarcity and that kind of mind, it's a healing that you have to go through from a personal perspective. And you can turn that on and off in business while you're healing. But you got to understand that relational is where you want to be.
So this is what I'm noticing about the topic you brought up, which is the because I want to do a part 2 to which I was going to talk to you later on about Survivor, because it has different levels to it. You also can deal with Survivor mindset if you came from upper middle class and you finally reach a height and you try to protect it. Sure. So that creates a Survivor mindset, because you're scared you're going to lose it, right? But what I realized with Survivor is it's not an isolated problem. So it's not like, okay, she's just transactional. It becomes a whole mental ecosystem. And if you remove one part, the other parts kind of flare up and and then rebalance itself, right? So like, for example, you say build relations, right? But all I had is fucked up relationships. So even when I build them, my irritations and my patience and my tolerance is tainted, because my comfort zone is this. And all that shit of like all that, like in a relationship, you got to give, like, for example, you're a father. One thing we talk about all the time is all the sacrifices you have to make as a dad, right? And if I name all your sacrifices down, they still ain't enough for you. You can do more, like 10 times 10. Somebody transactional, they won't get past 1, right? And if you put them in a room and everybody's making sacrifices to keep the family working, it's hard. It's such a non. It's not like culture is it's a natural, impulsive, invisible process you're always engaging in. Like the first time you came to my house, full of respect. You walked in, position yourself, respect, figured out where you can sit, and then eventually you grew into the household to the point that it's like Uncle Court's in the house, right? But when you first came over, it was like, okay, I sit here, da. If a person doesn't know that, they just walk in and they sit down and they don't even know all these hidden rules like the wolf in the woods. They can't feel the hidden rules of not being transactional. They move like the dog in the forest. Like even when you take a dog out into the woods, that reorientation is so deep in the governing belief type level that even having access to it, I think like I agree 100%. Like the healing is probably like it seems indirect, but it's actually direction wise healing it. And you got to go around people and literally go to the highest level of humility to acclimate yourself to normalize a new normal. But I don't think you're capable of thinking or even imagining what it is because all your references are transactional. Your parents treat you transactional. Everything you ever did was transactional. And it's like, you know how they say, if you're happy, you'll see a lot of smiles. If you're angry, you see a lot of frowns, right? When you're transactional, all you really see, even though people are showing up in cultural ways, you don't see culture. So you can't even reference your visuals. All you see is transactional. Well, everybody's transactional because that's what the brain sees. I think it's such a hard thing to have access to. And you absolutely need group support because you can't do it alone. I don't think it's possible to migrate that. Now, second thing is that in that migration of going from, of that change, I was talking to somebody today, also in the gym. I think here's the thing that there's this concept that says if a tree grows in the forest by itself with no other trees around it, it'll grow really, really fast. Another tree can grow with next to another tree that covers it, and it'll grow really, really slow. But the tree that grows slow is stronger than the tree that grew faster. Because when the tree is covered by the other trees, it grows slow, but it grows really dense, and it becomes a very strong tree. A tree that gets a lot of sun, it grows really fast, it becomes really, really, really dense. People come to our class, you know, I took that class last month, and I got it, and I changed. You're fragile. I have no value in your change. I wouldn't bet a nickel of his money on your change, right? The reality is that change is a very slow process. And you got to have, in that slow process, if you don't have environments that help you cultivate, normalize, and stay the course, distraction is like the weeds growing up around you. It will literally pull you. Like you could say, oh, I changed. Get this impulsive feeling that you changed because you rationalize the idea, realize you haven't become the idea yet. Then you go out in the world now and say, I changed my life. You're the same person. And then because you don't have reinforcements of your surroundings, you revert slowly but surely. You won't be even aware that you just reverted back to your old version of you. And then you find yourself in this longer loop. Instead of that fast loop, you're in a slow loop of, I made progress, no I didn't. I made progress, no I didn't, right? And then it becomes self-defeating and you destroy your hope. So I would take along with everything, because everything you said was correct. But I think it's also environmental reinforcement and a heavy, deep humility to like always remind yourself, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Absolutely. It's almost like I was, while you was talking, I was thinking about a blind man with a stick, right? Blind man walking by himself without the stick, you kind of fucked, right? And that's what somebody it would be if they've been in a transactional environment their whole life. They're walking without a stick. The stick is people around you who know, people who around you who have experience in relation, in being relational, so that you can riff off of them and they can give you feedback. That's your feedback loop, the stick. The second thing is I think to boil down what he said too is second order thinking. Mm-hmm. So second order thinking says, if I say this or if I do this, what happens after that? Then what? What are the options? What the possibilities? Well, they could go off and do this. They could do this. They can go tell their friends not to ever say. They're gonna be talking down on my business. Like that's what second order thinking does. And absolutely right. When you don't know, your brain just doesn't think because you don't have that experience. I work out with my son in the mornings a lot, and we'll be working on a machine, and he'll just sit down on somebody else's bench waiting for me. And I look over him like, what the fuck are you doing? And like he'll sit down where they just laid their head, and now they got to lay their head again. And I'm like, dude, that's bad gym etiquette. You don't do that. He's like, oh, I didn't even see it. So to his point, it's like you don't even see it. You're just moving. And it's like, why is that person mad at me? They tripping. And you'll call somebody like, I just ran up this person. They was tripping. Like I had to cuss them out. Not realizing that your transactional behavior is what the cause was. So that's the real. Let's keep going. All right, we on that. Next slide. So here's where we get to a crossroads.
I love this.
Why are you here? And now this is why this is important. Is that now you understand, if you guys have been doing this long enough, now you understand why this question is important. But for those who don't, we're going to go through it. Why are you here?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Anybody want to take a shot at why are they here? Why are you here? Why are you an entrepreneur? Why did you decide to take this path? Why did you decide to be a wolf instead of a dog? Why did you decide to jump into entrepreneurship instead of get a job? And then we'll go, Shakina, and then we go.
Can I give two answers?
Sure.
I want to give two answers because it's changed greatly. I want to share why I thought I started and then where I'm at currently.
Okay.
Originally, I was tired of people telling me what to do. I came from a very rigid background, and I wanted to be my own boss. That was my original answer. 10 years into it, I am very committed to taking ownership of my destiny and how I show up in the world and how it's shaped, and understanding that what I do or don't do impacts my community and my kids, and it's my responsibility to have a positive impact because I'm a leader in the world. And so I show up to try to make an impact difference and lead by example.
Okay, next.
I chose to be an entrepreneur. My path is construction. I grew up in the trades, and I've learned a lot. And I feel like through my learning, I'm able to teach as well. And I'm working on becoming a general contractor due to the fact that I've been in the trades for so long, and I've seen so much of misconduct and unprofessionalism that I would like to change the world of construction and hire and teach people that I grew up with or don't know, and give them an opportunity to be able to do the same for themselves, and I would like to just, change the community as well. I know I trust my eyes and my skill set and the skill set of my peers to be able to build proper construction and not just some rinky-dink house that's going to fall over in 10 years, so yeah.
Dope. Anybody
Definitely
else? Why are you here? What's your purpose?
I think for me, because I don't know what I'm doing. I keep bumping my head, trying to keep doing this business, and I'm realizing that by myself, I ain't got it figured out. So I know somebody here that has got it figured out, and I'm here to just learn from the rest of these people that's on the same road.
Dope. Anybody else? Why are you here? What is your purpose?
Oh, is this on?
Yeah, so
It's on? Okay, cool. I can't.
you got to speak close to it though.
Okay.
Bring it in.
You can hear me better
There you
now?
go. It's like a podcast.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Right on. It wasn't intentional. I wanted entrepreneur culture. I didn't necessarily feel like me being anything was even like a goal. But what I loved about the culture of entrepreneurship, which wasn't that visible to me, but what I loved was learning all the time, not having to do the same thing over and over, because I realized that after 2 years, I'm bored. Like, I wanted a lot of flexibility. I wanted to have a lot of variety in the work that I did. I wanted to be able to take on challenges that most people wouldn't take on. Like, I wanted to be at the edge of it. I wanted something that was innovative. I didn't really have a name for it. I just sort of found a home in entrepreneur culture, which was surprising to me. And I wanted work-life balance, I realized was not possible. 5 years later, I read books like Suck, and that's not even what the nervous system does. Like, it's a whole other, like, that was such a myth. But work-life balance didn't work, and I saw that it didn't work. So I wanted something where I didn't have to split off pieces of myself. So it was like all of the little things that I was wanting to have in life and how I earned money, entrepreneurship just happened to be the culture that could hold it. So that it wasn't like I never really had aspirations of being an entrepreneur. I had aspirations of having financial stability. And I had aspirations of like the dignity of doing something that had meaning, because most of the people that I grew up around with were on public assistance. And it was really important for me to be able to like pay my own way in life and actually contribute to my own like housing and shelter and clothing. Because in my house, people got paid on the 1st and the 15th from the government. So I wanted to feel the honor of being able to afford my own lifestyle. So entrepreneurship, I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I'm just now meeting entrepreneurs after having like a career in retail, right? So I went after what I knew, and then as I kept going and kept realizing I had this insatiable desire to continue to grow, and I started to feel like I feel kind of boxed in. I don't like. I wanted to mix different. I wanted to touch and kind of like. I felt like I had all of this stuff that I could do, and I can only do this much of it inside of those structures. So I was looking for something where I could do more. So on the other side of that, now I still don't know that I give myself the title. That's not really important to me. But now what I see is because of my experiences, that there are people coming up after me that I could actually share things that I've learned with, and there's value there. So now that has me thinking, how can I show up to that, right? How can I show up to what it's like to have the pressures of being a woman, and not from this space of like, oh, we're so sad, but how do you do that and thrive? Like, how is that a superpower? How is being Black a superpower? How is being a woman superpower? How is being someone who doesn't fit the mold? Like, how can your brilliance be a superpower for you if you just like follow that? So it's why I keep coming back to this space, because I wanted something to, I want to keep challenging myself to grow. And this is a part of how I do that. Like, hope is a part of how I do that.
Okay. So just want to put Nana on the spot real quick.
Should I say some online stuff too?
Sure.
Sorry, y'all. Kevin said, same as Shabisha. Marquita said, she would take those career tests and it always said entrepreneurship, and she refused. So then fast forward to working at 510 Media and being surrounded by Nana and Mashama, she saw how much of an impact she could make on her community by building a business that creates the change I want to see.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Nana, can I interview you for a quick second?
Oh, yeah. Don't do it.
What is your purpose and why are you here?
For hope or for everything?
Everything.
My purpose is to impact Black folks. That's number one purpose. Liberate my people, straight up. Why am I here is to share the rewards of my journey for Black folks to start liberating themselves. So I want to be having an infectious impact on my community.
Can anybody speak on a distinction? There's key elements to what we didn't plan it. So there's key elements in his purpose, in his why, that I want to see if anybody's able to pull out.
For me,
You go.
what I noticed was just that it was very anti-I. It was very externally focused. Which
There you go.
It
There
makes-
you go.
That's what drives you. Your purpose kind of has to be bigger than yourself.
There you
in order
go.
for you to lock in.
There you go. Do y'all get it? So is there any so peep the correlation. Whoever's purpose it is to serve at a higher level, you get more. Whoever's focused on themselves, you get less. Because you don't need that much. You got it. Oh, it's just you? I, well then here. That should last you. That should be good for you. Here you go. But if you are around people who when you ask them why they're here, what is their purpose, what oozes out of the answer is 99.9% of the time, if they plan at a high level, to serve. Why am I here? Why am I here? To serve. What is my purpose? My purpose is to serve because I want to impact my community and I want to serve y'all. How many do you want to serve? As many people as fucking possible. So guess what? You get more resources. Let's give the resource to him because he's trying to serve more people. If we correlate that to an example of food, how much do you want to cook? For myself. Well, then here's a plate, here's a piece of chicken, here's some mashed potatoes and some vegetables on the side. How much food do you want to cook for my neighborhood? Okay, well, I'm going to bring the trucks in, and I'm going to bring these people in. I'm going to bring these people. I'm going to get you a kitchen that's big enough. And how many workers you need? Okay, let's get those back there. Oh, shit, okay. When you move in that mindset of service, how can I serve? I want to serve as many people as possible. I want to impact as many people as possible. Not like leadership is actually service at the highest level. That's the word. If anybody wants to be bosses and shit, then you're gonna be one person who are barely making it and guess what? You're gonna get through life, and you're gonna have the stuff you need. But your mind, you want to do these big things. Big things come from big impact. Big impact comes from making your purpose service. And I didn't ask him to do that. Straight on the spot. But you see, I knew he was gonna do it, because anybody who moves and does big shit, I don't care what they seem like on the surface. They can be brash, gangster. To me, I met some of the most gangster. I grew up around some of the most gangster individuals, and if you got to know them, they fed everybody. They fed neighborhoods. It was bigger than them. Go ahead, brother.
That's dope. I didn't even pull out that distinction. My main thought was getting my own shit together, because that's where I was saying, man, I've tried this so many times, bumping my head. I didn't have anybody around me that knew the game.
Mm-hmm.
So my main thought was like, I got to get my own act together before I can help somebody else. But I see where you're coming from about service to all. Is there a difference between making sure you get it right first before you go out and try to share it, or is that something that can happen simultaneously?
Absolutely, and I'm not saying what you said was wrong. Getting your own shit together is the right decision. Absolutely, because what my mom used to say, she used to tell me I look like this. You look like Boo Boo the Fool or something like that. She used to tell me, Bobo the Clown. You trying to serve everybody and you don't have your shit together first. You have to make sure that piece is down. So that is important. But that's today. Big purpose, big goals. Why am I here? If you have visions, goals, purposes that are way bigger than you, then now you've expanded your capacity. And once you've expanded your capacity, then once you get your shit together, guess where you're looking? Immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Also, can't you also say it's an incentive to get your shit together and to push yourself further? So if I'm just doing it for myself, I'm gonna quit soon.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna quit so early to make your head spin. My distraction level it'd take nothing to distract me. Squirrel, I'm gone. But if I'm doing it for something bigger than me, I'm gonna push past my pains, my discomforts, my irritations, individuals who seem as limitations, systems that seem as limitations. I have this thing where I'm getting to the top. And that is something that's hard to motivate for self. Self is just Mickey Ficky. But when you're serving others, I could just turn on the news one day and look at my people or go outside and drive through East Oakland and be like, yeah, I got work to do. Where if it's for myself, I might get comfortable, get a little bit of money. I see this with a lot of entrepreneurs, they get so self-focused. And as soon as their bank account reaches a certain amount, their business starts to deteriorate because they're not working for nobody else anymore. They satisfied now. So they become the limitation because they don't have that same drive until the money gets low again. That's the only thing they have, which is their own personal comfort. But when they're driving for something else, the money becomes invisible to them. It's really about, have I made this impact yet? If I haven't, I'm nowhere near my success. Money's irrelevant. It's just one of the variables.
Mm-hmm. You guys get that? You guys feel that? What's the question underneath that, Shabisha?
Does your purpose bring you more social currency than impact?
Think about your purpose. Think about why you're here. A lot of times, what we call our purpose is our reaction from our trauma. It's our, I'm gonna get you back from what I've been through. And that's why a lot of times it's hard for us to make strides or get past certain bumps or levels, because our purpose and why we're here is solely because we've been through some shit and we want to get the world back. When I was a kid, I'm the youngest of 8. 5 brothers, 6 boys, 2 girls. Bullies. Nothing but bullies, right? And I've been tortured, drugged, in the rug, beat up, thrown in the dryer, whole shit, right? And you know what I would think? Wait till I get older, I'm gonna fuck you up. Wait till I get bigger. Wait till I get bigger. Teenage brothers do grimy shit to me. Wait till I get older. And I end up taller than all of them, right? But they old, what I'm gonna do? They old, right? But my mission was I'm gonna get stronger. I'm gonna hit these weights. I'm gonna get buff. Because when it's my time, I'm gonna fuck you up.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
It became an individual mission, right? It's a selfish mission. If any of you, those of you who believe in God, or higher power, or the universe, or whatever, there are reasons why we are here. And when the ego is high, it's very hard to see, because most of the time, all we're doing is we're trying to pay back trauma that we've experienced. We're using our ego to push ourselves for selfish reasons. So Shakina's not the only one.
No.
How many people wanted to be bosses when they first started their entrepreneurship journey? I'm gonna be a boss. I don't like nobody telling me what to do. Fuck that. If you be, a lot of you guys would be bullshitting if you didn't have that same motto. And it wasn't until time and once you opened up with your curiosity and your purpose started driving itself through you till you realize, nah, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. Because that goosebump you feel when you hire a person, man, what? Now I just created an ecosystem that person now can, oh, I got to do this some more. I got to grow this business. I got to keep growing. What if I did it and there was all black people up in here and like, oh man, that's dope. And I can hire people who was incarcerated and this and that. And I got, now it's not about you. So you, like you said, when you're in your purpose, sometimes purpose is stronger than religion when it comes to your self-disciplines and the things you refuse to do and the things you sacrifice. When you find your purpose, you'll be able to say no to stuff that you can't say no to in regular life. Mm-hmm. Because you're like, no, I'm not messing up my purpose. This is it. That's why you got to find your purpose. Now, I remember there's times when we're going through this book and people say, well, what if I don't know my purpose? I spent lots of research trying to figure out that answer. One of the answers is this: work on lowering your ego. Because the lower your ego gets, the louder you'll be able to hear your purpose. Lower your ego, because your ego's loud. That's why. Once you turn the volume down of your ego and you put your palms up, then you'll find it. It gives you way more opportunities to find it. How can I serve you? How can I help you? How can I help you? Man, I don't even feel like doing that. I gotta drive all the way up there, but I said I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. You drive all the way up there and you just found, oh, I'm in love with this. This is my thing right here. See, you never know. But when your ego's so loud, I'm doing it this way, and I'm not changing it. Any questions? Go online.
Can I add to that real quick? That applies to parenting. Look, a father, I'm serving more than I'm getting what I want. And I'm happy because I'm serving. Yet, like, I want to be the man of the household. I don't think people understand the deficit of what that means. We see the man of the household as what we see on rap videos. I'm a boss, right? Without any of the reality that comes behind it. You know, if you see me in a fat house and a unique foreign car, you don't see the realities of when that car needs to be repaired is $10,000, right? Or that big mansion, the maintenance of it is $1 million a year, right? Or $500,000 a year, just keep that mansion running, right? You don't see none of that stuff. I want to be the father of the household. Men, that means you have to serve the household. That means you don't get to do all that single man shit. Run the single man scheduling, spend single man money, make single man decisions. Women, you don't get to have that chance of, I'm just going to go bar with my friends, do what I want to do. Everybody's serving each other. That's the cold thing. Like, it kills me when I hear like who's, like you see these power struggles in dialogue and you're thinking, this is the dumbest shit ever. Your job is to serve. And if you want to get celebrated as the man or the woman of the household, you get it through how you serve that household. Relationships, same way. You want a great relationship with somebody? Serve them. Lower your ego and your fears and your protection. Serve them. And all of a sudden, you'll see a different character. It's almost like there's a hidden version of each of you that comes out once the other serves you. That's all.
True. That's real. Next slide. Social currency versus real currency experiment.
That's tight.
So, what are some of the pros of social currency? Let's talk about it. What are some of the pros? Like, we dog the social currency a lot, but it's some good things to it too. So let's talk about those good things. What are some good things of social currency? Go ahead, Chisadi.
Can you just give a working definition of social currency in the way that we use it here?
So there's real currency and there's social currency. Social currency is how popular you are, how many likes you get on Instagram, the circles that you go in, the access that you have, the friends, the nightlife you go out, everybody knows you. You're known to be a specific type of person, a wine connoisseur, outfit, fashionista, whatever. You have lots of social currency in the community. People, you're highly respected. You go to parties, you go out, people want to be around you. Did I miss anything?
Status.
High status. You're the woman or you're the man in your environment, in your community, in your city, school. Most popular. If it was high school, you'd be most popular, best dressed, biggest flirt.
Hey, leave that one alone.
So, what are some pluses to it?
You named hell of them in your definition. But a lot of times when businesses are starting off, they don't have access to capital, so they're leveraging their social currency in order to get things done, whether that's using their popularity to get a product pushed out or getting people to attend an event, or just leveraging their charismatic, energy to be able to get things done that would normally take currency, but that they can leverage other people for in the front end, but it doesn't usually last long term.
Jasadi?
I got it confused with social credit, and I think it's a different definition. But
What was your definition?
For social credit, I don't know. Like, so my social credit is like how I show up, and my reputation gives me value that, like, let's say, for example, like if I want to, if I need to like borrow someone's car or anything like that, because my social credit is up to par, people will trust me with things, or just, give me hookups on stuff because I've provided a certain level of excellence and like value to something. So it's like they are like giving back.
It's part of the same package.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're good. Social currency. So I wanted to bring to light, because we talk a lot about social currency on the negative end, but we both do not mean that social currency is bad and real currency is good.
Mm-hmm.
Social currency is absolutely important as an entrepreneur. As a person, social credit, social currency. If you're an expert in a particular field and people go to you to ask you for advice on X, regardless of what it is, that's social currency. So, and that's important in a tribe setting, as a community. It's important. We all have roles. What do you do? What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? And most of the time, when you spend your lifetime focusing on learning something, then you're in the top 5% anyway. So I want to know some of that. So I want to skip some steps and having to learn what you know. I have some stuff that I know that I've spent my lifetime learning. So whenever you need it, you come to me. And that's how we exchange currency, but it's social currency. That's important. If you're known to be honest, social currency. If you're known to be a person of your word, social currency. So all those things are very important. If a person's social credit score is in the 400s, how much success do you think they'll have at starting a business? Very little to none, because ain't nobody fucking with them. Fucking with you. Whatever you're selling, I don't want it, right? Because your social currency is low. So it is important. Can you build your social currency up over time? Absolutely. But what we don't want to do is get it twisted. What is my intention as an entrepreneur? You can't pay your rent. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't grow. You can't build. You can't cash social currency. You need real currency. So the intention is to grow your business and generate revenue, real currency. And how this applies to the ego is that, next slide. Let's talk about it next slide. Go ahead, Chabisha.
Many of us, at the sight of difficulty in entrepreneurial currency, pivot to the business of social currency.
Okay, this one is cold. This cold.
Let them use you.
It's cold.
This is gonna be a good one.
It's cold.
You giving her bullets.
So everyone's intentions are good. I'm about to start this business. My purpose is to blow up, be a boss, sprinkle everybody with my bossness, right? Do big shit. And you start entrepreneuring. And you hit these roadblocks and these roads and these cavities, and you fall off these cliffs and you start breaking stuff. And it's like, what the fuck is this? I never would have thought it'd be this hard. And you next thing you know, you're battered and bruised. And as you're healing, you're like, man, what? I used to make good money on the social currency. Maybe I'll try that. I was good at that game. So a lot of times we don't want it to be hard. That was too hard. But I'm too ashamed and too embarrassed to quit entrepreneurship completely. So I'm a pivot. And I'm just going to go and be the spokesperson. I'm going to show up at all these panels as the entrepreneurial expert, and I'm going to talk my way. Let everybody know that, I was an entrepreneur, and I started 7 businesses, and I know all these books, and I'm going to take this class and learn the lingo, and like people going to come to me in rooms, and I'm going to just break them down intellectually from a business perspective. And I'm going to talk about, you're triggered, and I'm going to say all these beautiful buzzwords that I learned here, and it's gonna fuck their minds up, and I'm gonna keep getting booked for these to speak in these forums, and now I'm the expert, and now I can feel like an entrepreneur.
Ooh, this is an unedited version.
Ooh. So, man, you ain't got the Jamaican thing.
He's killing it right now.
I could feel like an entrepreneur. To the crowd, I'm an entrepreneur. Not knowing that my personal financial life is fucked. And I'm checkmating myself, because the more I put myself out there in social currency, the less people I can talk to say, I'm broke, I need help. How you need help? You was just on the fucking thing saying you was doing big shit. So that's how we end up checkmating ourselves. Now it's checkmate. Fuck, what did I do? My circle of entrepreneurs, I veered off from my circle of entrepreneurs because I wanted to play the social currency game. And if you guys go to the next slide, you'll realize how big is that social currency market. Business is booming. Business is booming right now. You got so many causes and social justice and all of these major movements that are always pulling and asking for people to talk, especially in California. Then you don't even need somebody to ask you. You could just open up on your YouTube page and talk about entrepreneurship and how you're a boss and doing big shit as an entrepreneur. And I'm going to tell you guys what to do. Be an influencer, tell you what to do. So now you possibly can get paid off of talking. I can have a podcast. I don't even have to invent no shit. I could just react off of somebody else's video.
Shots fired.
Somebody else took their time, energy, money to do something big. All I gotta do is find a way to download that shit and re-upload it with my little face saying, let me pause it right there. That wasn't right. Now let's keep going. I can make money doing that, and I don't have to be good at nothing. Just talking. That's social currency. So right now in today's time, social currency business is booming. You know what? Fuck it. I'll do a course. I'll create a course. I thought about a business one time. And that one business that I thought about, I'll make a course teaching it. If anybody ever calls you to the carpet and be like, well, how much real currency did you make? Then it's a cold day. Where's my red table talk? Honestly, the risk, if you're a real entrepreneur, what we do is the scariest shit in the world. Scariest shit in the world. Because y'all got to real time watch us entrepreneur ourselves as we teach this shit. And this is like boxing. Anybody can get knocked the fuck out.
Man, tell the truth there.
Anybody. It is no, like, I made it to this stage because entrepreneur, you're always moving money. You're always investing. Money's not sitting. So no matter what you made, you're moving it. So this is a game where you can get knocked the fuck out. So what, I'm going to walk in here one day with black eye and 2 busted lips talking about, okay, today's Hope class, I got to do that. And then, like, hey, how was your day, Nana? How was your day? Shit, today was, Jesus Christ. Today was fucked up. See what I'm saying? This is the riskiest thing you could do. But you go back to the slides of the purpose. Why are we here? To serve. I'm willing to risk it because I love the opportunity to serve, to help make you guys better, bigger entrepreneurs, more money, whatever I could do to serve. But this business, booming. Guess what, though? Just like any hype cycles, all hype cycles will crash at a certain point. So if you jumped on the hype train and be like, I don't really have to acquire no skill. I can just talk about it. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about, whenever I hear, hey guys,
We not.
some bullshit.
Wait a minute.
I don't think you understand. Like, let me just say real quick. Do you know how many people that's come to this class who've done that because they become frustrated with the game? And why I'm loving this so much, like, there's a large percentage of people that are out there talking, and they're just, I mean, you have no idea. And I'm not even talking about the YouTubers and the famous ones. I'm talking about people who are running around right now at different events and different meetings, giving their opinions with no substance. Oh, I'm loving this.
Entrepreneurship is the substance. Is it wrong? No, those things aren't wrong within themselves. But if you run from the game and run on that other side of the game to get away from the hard work, you bullshitting.
Say something? Court, we're best friends. I can say something, right?
Go ahead, Josh.
So there actually was a student in this class. I shot a video for him once, and I got him on camera saying, "Man, I'm good. I don't really need to take Nana's class. I just tune in every now and then, and I listen to it." And then 2 weeks later, he asked me for another video, and I said it'll be like 300, and he goes, "Can you do it for 50?" So just to put into context, it's in this class too.
It's just not just, I mean, I don't know who the person is,
Yeah.
but not just one person.
Yeah.
When I say we've heard this. I met a brother the other day at the restaurant, I'm ordering my food, and he just happened to compliment me on my Crocs. And then we started talking about basketball, and he actually played professional basketball, and I think he had some heart condition that kept him from going to NBA. So we're talking about like a lot of hidden systems in basketball, and he's like, "How do you know some of these hidden systems? In the business." So I just started sharing some ideas about business real fast, like just random off the top of the head ideas. And then he goes, "Well, damn, man, this is crazy." He goes, and I go, "Yeah, I teach this entrepreneur course in Alabama College, African Americans, Black folks, behavior." He's like, "Man, this has been the most important, most powerful conversation I've ever had." But he didn't even ask me what the course was.
Oh man,
That shit is the most amazing shit to me in the world.
oh man,
He's like, I had that much impact in 10 minutes, and you don't even like, hey, can I just listen in? Nothing. Because the ego just be like,
ego
I got
crazy.
this.
Ego. That happens so many times. And it's like I can look them in their eyes and know that they're not gonna come. Because like the ego, like you can see the ego running to defend them. Like you see them listening and you see them like, oh wow, yeah, I've never heard that before in my life. Where's it? You actually teach a class? And you can see the ego running to stop that shit. And it's again, if we haven't trained ourselves, those muscles, it's reactionary. So awareness by itself is a first step. It could start the step of curing it. But that is how a lot of us feel. Entrepreneurship is a cold game, and it's tough, and it's hard, and it ain't fun. Some of the times, it's not fun. And we're not gonna get there if we only want the fun parts. And if your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, if you naturally flight at the sight of difficulty, then entrepreneurship is always going to be in the background. And the next logical step for your mind is to talk about it. And that's the most dangerous, because remember we talked about doing and saying compete for the same resources.
Mm-hmm.
Doing and saying compete for the same resources. Next slide.
For many entrepreneurs, the drug of choice is fame.
Man, so I'd rather just get high off this. I'd rather just stay high off this. Put my head down, get in the trenches, get rejected, all those no's, where I can just get the social currency immediately. That's why it's like drugs. That's why it's like drugs. Next slide.
The others confine themselves with good intentions in the pursuit of their dreams at the crossroads of corruption by the thing they wish to serve.
So it's not just the previous slide that has difficulty. There's another group of people, and that is, think about the police officer. So this particular police officer loves his community, loves equality, loves fairness, loves everybody. And he dreams of making the world a better place by becoming a police officer. He's here to serve. He's here to serve. And it's genuinely in his soul that he wants to serve and make the community better. So he does his thing, starts the academy, gets on the beat. Soon as he gets on the beat, the tribe of current police officers is a complete opposite of what his goals and mission and perception is. So now he's at a crossroad. Do I fit in with my tribe, or do I continue to do the right thing? And over time, his environment corrupts his mission. And the first time you interact with that police officer versus 9 months later, he's just like them. He can be just like them. That's what happens sometimes. And in entrepreneurship, it's the same. A lot of times we start off with the mission of serving. We start serving and everybody's like, oh man, yes, you're the woman, you the man, you're dope, you're amazing. Here's an award, here's this award, here's a fan, here's more fans, here's more people that like you. Here's groupies, here's all these people that give you attention and tell you that you're amazing. And over time, if you're not strong and if you're not tied to your purpose, then you can allow all of that outside noise to start to corrupt your mission. And next thing you know, you look just like them. So that also is a warning to those of us who are climbing and growing and building and performing and doing big things. If you veer off the mission and get consumed by the roar of the crowd, over time you can start becoming the same addicted to fame as the ones who don't have any businesses at all. That's why it's important to be in humble spaces. Have somebody who could check you. Have somebody who could check you. If you ain't got nobody who can check you, you're in danger of this. Next slide. That's how. So the thing is, you always be a student. Always stay in student mode. This is the only time that I'm in this mode. I'm in student mode. How can I serve you? How can I learn? What did I do wrong? How can I get better? Okay, I'm humble to the game. The game humbles you. The game humbles you. If you in this game, you didn't run from that smoke, you will get humbled. If you're a basketball player and you're a male basketball player and you say, man, I ain't never got dunked on, you're telling me you've never played basketball at the highest level. Right there. I ain't never lost a fight. You've never fought at a high level or enough times. You just gave yourself away. Because when you in the game and you're really, really in the game, you gonna take L's. So it's always important for you to be a student. To be a student. The master mentality is what's been sold to you. Next slide will tell you. Plus, minus, equal. You know what that means? It means in your life, write this down. There should always be somebody that you're teaching. There should always be somebody that's your peer. And there should always be somebody that you're learning from. So you're adding value, you're receiving value, and you're exchanging value. That's one of the keys to staying humble and keeping your ego down. Plus, minus, equal. All right, I think this is the last slide. Yep.
At the Jiu-Jitsu Academy that I train at, they use this formula a lot, the plus, minus, equal. And the cool thing about it is it always keeps you humble. Like, I know people half my size, they can like whoop my ass, but then I'm taking out dudes like way bigger than me. But the other part of that is like the people that are coming up under you, when you give them the game that you're using on them to like defeat them, it makes you even better. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of becomes this escalator where everybody in the academy gets better, because it's like I'm teaching you all the tricks that I learned and how it was effective on you, and then now I got to learn to keep staying sharper so I can keep up with the next level. It's a cold fun thing. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's the secret. It's one of the secrets. If you haven't adopted this strategy, you should adopt it. It's one of the secrets in life, in business, in relationships. That is a great dynamic. It's an ecosystem for yourself internally that keeps you growing, keeps you humble, helps you become confident. So it helps your confidence and your humility.
And you can you say, Court, that if you got a whole bunch of minuses in your life, that's a sign you have an ego problem.
Ego problem.
That's a great way to look at it.
That's an excellent way.
Okay.
If you surrounded by people that you're just and they look at you like you're that person, then that's an ego problem. That's an ego problem. So last slide. Most of the greats are humble. What are you? I asked him a question on the spot. You know what came out? Service. Service. Oh, service. That's dope. Most people that perform at high levels are humble because they've been humbled to the game. And the plus minus equal. And I think is there one more slide after this? Yeah. So last slide. Always pay attention to your results. Go ahead, Shabisha.
Always pay attention to your results. What does your cash flow say? What does your bank account say? What do your friends and family's relationships to you say? What does the market say?
Period. So this another thing to keep you humble is when you become results oriented. What is my intention? And you're results oriented. That's where the humility comes to play. What's your bank account say? What's your cash flow say? So when you go out and you got the outfit and they're like, hey, you're amazing. You know the real. When you're moving from a results place, like shit, that ain't it. One time, what I loved about Josh one time, he came on the microphone and was like, man, it ain't it right now. Things are shit right now.
Yeah, he did.
I was one of the dopest things he ever did. Guess what? His life ain't like that now. Life ain't like that now. Because once you're clear and honest with who you are and your results, now your brain and you are congruent with each other and be like, oh shit, well, let's get to work. All right? I'm out. Brief intermission.
So Chris Foster said he is online saying things. He said,
God. No, if it's about the Lakers, I don't want to hear it.
okay.
Oh my God!
Oh, he did a thing.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because this is a day of glory, and I'm going to just have to deal with that on my one-on-one. I'll do my walk of shame later.
Oh, man.
You're talking to this man because his Lakers are finally winning something. Are they winning this game tonight? Oh, okay,
like,
that's
what?
too early. That's too early to talk about. Anyway, but they 3-1, and you know how he is. He's gonna be a long press.
I don't know what you come to do, but I come to praise.
Can we honestly say that was a dope class? I've been around this Eagles enemy for a long time, and today I'm kind of sitting in the student space because I'm not studying that book, and you forget how powerful that book is. Dude, today I was over here saying amen so much. I thought I was at church. That was amazing. No, yeah, so, bro, thank you for the night.
Amen.
All right. Let's switch places. Give it up.
You know who said it.
You gonna steal Shakita's humor? Hey, real quick, I'm gonna just add one thing to this one for the next one, because some of you guys get stuck on this one. I'm gonna give y'all some real deep Las Vegas pimp game, because it's real easy to take this one here. What's more important, process or results? Why? Get past the microphone. This is pimp game time. I say pimp games, to be clear, we're removing the pimps because I hate pimps. I'm saying that smooth type of play with your brain pimping, not the, once again, y'all, I just want to be very clear because I really dislike pimps. I really do. But I love the idea, the how we translate it into a swagger. So let's play with that real quick.
Okay. No, just kidding. I'm hella silly tonight. All right. So the reason why I believe process is more important than results is because results are so fragile, meaning that anything can impact them. And if you don't have an ironed out specific process that can guarantee you the same result every single time, there's too many variants that happen. So it's important to really understand all of the impacts in having optionality when you're building out something.
Close. That's very close. But it's majorly off, but hella close. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that one thing I would say is that there's many different ways to reach a similar result. You understand me? So especially in business is constantly changing. So it's always a process of learning. So I would say that the reason why the process is more important because you can always reach a goal, but at a certain point you'll hit a plateau and you'll have to revamp your process in order to reach another goal.
Another good thought. Not there, but both of you guys have good analysis, and you're in a good lane. But I have to shake that lane a little bit. Anybody else want to try it? Nobody. Tanil, go ahead. Because Tanil keeps raising her hand real fast.
I'll go. Let Tanil do it.
Yeah, turn my head, raise her hand. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so my thinking was, as far as process goes, I feel like I might have a little more influence over or control over the process that I choose or explore, as to where the results, I don't necessarily have that same influence or choice, right?
That's closer, but not there. But that's like each person's nabbed a little portion of it, and I'm going to bring it together in a minute. So why is process more important than result? Go ahead.
Process, if you lock in your process, then you know exactly why. Well, you'll better know why you're getting those results. But if you just know you're getting results without like a hand on your process, then
Almost there. I think I just like to talk because his hair got done. Anyway, go ahead, Shabisha. His hair is fly today.
I don't know that I'm adding anything different. I'm probably just restating what's already been said. So
okay, so let me help you guys out. Okay.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or take a shot?
Sure.
Huh? Oh. Were you still talking, baby?
no.
I'm sorry, Ariel said I cut you off. I was like, I did not mean to do that.
Stop talking.
What I'm also thinking is the importance of staying studious. Like the importance of like always being in like a learning environment, because your process is more of like an adaptive way of thinking and problem solving. And so I feel like that's a part of it, of the constant evolution.
Almost there. No. All right. Okay. So stay with me, everybody, because I'm going to take you. Okay. So I'm going to introduce forms of thought that are not in our community. It's almost in the loudest part of music of entrepreneur dialogue. No one frames this right. But when I frame this to you, you're going to see the importance of this, and it's going to change a lot for you. Let's say you're playing blackjack and you got 18 and you say, hit me. And he gives you a 3 and you hit 21. The outcome gave you 21. But if you repeat that same process again, you're going to fail. The rule of blackjack, as soon as you get to 17, freeze it. Because at this point, you reach, 17 to higher, you freeze. But if you commit to the process, often you will get false results. And so if you have a good process, Like, for example, if somebody saw you win that game, they go like, hey, when you get 18, I saw Shakina say hit me, and she got 21. So, and she gave a lecture because, you know, her ego's kind of big now. So she gave a lecture that when you get 18, always say hit me. But the laws of probability, because the future is random, and it's about luck, because you guys left out the equation of luck. Because the future is random and is full of luck and probability, probability says that if you have a good process, over time the process will yield you it will balance itself out. So a lot of times you can run a good process and take a loss and stick with the process because the result is not guaranteed. A lot of times you go to these entrepreneur courses, they talk to you about if you do this, this result is guaranteed. If you do that, this result is guaranteed. That is a false concept because the future is random. There's no perfect input system. So when he was saying earlier, he could be a perfect entrepreneur and fail, and do all the same decisions that an entrepreneur made the same decisions and won. It's just that he had bad luck. You guys get where I'm going with this? So a lot of times learning the right process is not built upon results. Process trumps results. But your brain, in our culture, we celebrate knowledge of results. How it worked. What happened. Who achieved this. Who won. Right? And we're like, oh yeah, I listened to this one guy. Like they said this, I know this one guy and he won and he did this. That doesn't validate the result. What they did was they used, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? That's the word I'm looking for. Anecdotal evidence. They took opinions and popular opinions and ideas, and they said, this is evidence towards something. So when you see a success in society, it's more important to learn the process than to admire the results. Admiration of the results is falling in love with the charisma of the result, not the actual production result. Because you could repeat a perfect process. A coach, okay, so let's make it really simple. In football, a coach can make the same call, do the same thing every time. It's the proper process, doesn't mean he's gonna score every time. But over a season, he knows that if he sticks to this process, he will score enough to put him in a position to at least make it to the playoffs and compete for the championship. But if he gets to a point that he gets excited by the highlight move, let's say they were talking about Jordan Poole, and they were saying Jordan Poole is part of this culture of basketball players who fell in love with the outcomes, which is on ESPN at nighttime, they're going to show the guy who took a jump shot from the logo. So now the young guys will take a big 1 out of 10, and the 9 shots they miss is irrelevant to them getting on ESPN because they caught up in the result. But you're destroying the ability for the team to win the game. You see the difference of that? So a lot of times you get caught up in this. The process is way more important than the results. It's still got to pay attention to the process, to the results. Got to pay attention to the results. But a lot of times you can commit to a process. If you can commit to the idea of just copy and pasting everybody's results by doing what everybody preaches they say they did, you're in Atlanta lost.
Ayn asked if it's so she's saying false positives. Question is what you're saying, false positive.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little deeper. I'm trying to steal too much from because I will talk to Court about doing it out part 2. If 10,000 entrepreneurs try to do the same thing and the idea was bad, 10 of them will be successful, or maybe 20. It's the laws of probability, right? If you had an infinite amount of monkeys typing, one of them will write Shakespeare by luck. But when those 10 or 20 who become successful and you run up to them with a microphone and say, how did you become successful? Their brain feels a motivation to come up with a reason to satisfy that question. And this is when they say, well, you know, discipline, my parenting, my school, the And then that's why I tell you, you haven't learned shit by these gurus. You need somebody who teaches you the systems and the processes and looking at the data from an external space, micro space, macro space, stepping back, also time relevance, because a perfect idea today is not going to work for tomorrow because things change, the variables have changed, that impacts the process, right? So process it has to survive in randomness. Meaning everything's always changing. Nothing's the same. Nothing's the same. So you can't take a process and it will always work the same way because things change. Have you ever seen produce a movie, and then they try to do the same movie again, but now people are like, I don't want to see that shit, we changed. But it was cool at one point, but now people are like, we're over it. It was great then, but we moved on, right?
Jurassic Park.
Independence Day. There's certain movies that they did really, really good when they first landed because that's where the culture was at the time, right? So in business, things are always moving. And just to copy and paste the past is almost suicidal, or to fall in love with outcomes and then turn the people who achieve the outcomes as gurus because they may just be a victim of luck. They may have been the person who said, hit me with 18, scored 21, and now you fall in this fool who's about to have you broke as fuck because every time you get 18, you talk about hit me, and you wonder why you fucking broke. That's player game there. That you will never see. No one talks about when you put randomness in the equation. So remember about 2 years ago, I was like, yo, I'm gonna work on scaling. The difference between what the knowledge I had then and the knowledge I'm gaining is I didn't equate randomness enough. And once you realize the future is not controlled like that, you don't control it. Like you have to give up your control. So human beings' need for control is so powerful, it's crazy. Let me show you how we fuck with luck. We will roll a dice. If we need a low number, we roll it softly. And we want a high number, we roll it hard. They had this game in an office where they told the people, they said, okay, we have a lottery for $50. And everybody get a chance to choose their own card. Then he goes, but tell you what, I'm gonna choose this half of the room. You guys come choose your own card. You guys take whatever's left over. And then I'm gonna spin this thing and somebody's gonna win this $50,000. So they asked the people who, now mind you, this is luck. So if you chose a card or didn't, the odds are the same based on probability. But the people who feel like they had a choice felt like they were in a higher position than the people that didn't have a choice. So then the teacher said, let me ask you a question. How much, for the guys who chose your own card, how much could I buy your card back for? So the people went up to $9. They went to the room there where they was like giving the leftovers. So how much would you sell your cards for? $1 on average. It's the same odds. Once you understand that luck, probability, and randomness is always and volatility, all these things are part of the equation, it changes a lot of these ideas of guarantees, implied guarantees in your speech. So the reality is that process is always more important than results because you can have the perfect process and still fail. But the lesson is that once you know you have the perfect process and still fail, you have to have the endurance to do it over and over and over again until it finally hits. Because you're playing the long game. If you're playing the short game, this is why the transactional shit fuck you up. When you're playing the short game, that first slap in the face, you're done. Transactionally, it doesn't make any sense. I just lost some money. I'm done with this shit. It's stupid now. Why would I do it again? People who play the big game in money, they realize I got to play this game 100 times to get my results. I can't play it once. If I play it once, then the response to this playing this game won't give me the results that I'm looking for. A dog cannot play that game. That's a game for a wolf. That's a game for a wolf. Before we do that, before we jump into this next lesson, I heard this one phrase. I just want y'all to sit with this phrase. This is the dopest phrase I heard. Danielle didn't put it in my phrases. That's okay. I still love her, though. I don't want y'all to say I didn't love her, but let me just say this real quick.
Can I ask the question while you searching?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think is the biggest, I don't even want to say difference, or I don't know what word I want to use, but what do you think is the difference between long-term thinkers and short-term thinkers? Like, is it the whole dog and the wolf concept, or like, what is that?
I'll give you the hardest one. You never learn from your mistakes. Can't learn from them. Because long-term, when you're short-term thinking, you don't even have the ability to capture the value of the mistake to never repeat it again. And what happens is that you produce your own trash. It's almost like as you try to climb up the hill, you create more rubble. At some point, you don't realize you're the problem. So when you're a long-term thinker, you start to remove friction points, obstacles, noise, wasted effort, cost, personal friction and pain. You start to remove those and you start to smoothen the path. You don't get the chance to make it perfect, but you smoothen the path, which allows you to gain more momentum and achieve greater goals. But when you're short term, you almost for example, let me show you a short term memory problem. Watch this. I'm gonna buy these shoes that's gonna make me really happy. Okay. I'm on to the next one. So these shoes are old now. I'm gonna buy this car that's gonna make me really happy. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna buy this house that's gonna make me really happy. I'm gonna get married. It's gonna make me really happy. Gonna have some kids. That's gonna make me happy. We're gonna go on vacation. You didn't learn from the first one when you bought the shoes that shit. They said no shit don't make you happy. But why do you keep repeating the same fucking mistake? Because at the end of the day, you don't think long term and go, there's a pattern here. You just in this short term satisfaction. You keep going at this. Oh, this, damn. Oh, this, damn. Oh, this, damn. Do you not see it's you yet? Huh? Short term thinkers. The world is fucking me over. They don't see, this went wrong, because this is why you can't say it's me. Okay, let's say I'm having a conversation, right? And as I'm having a conversation, let's just say Shapisha pisses me off. And then I talk to Earl next day, and then Earl pisses me off. And then I go to see Josiah while he's at the hairdresser, and he pisses me off. You see how I stuck that in there real quick? Okay. And but regardless, at the end of the day, where I don't see the patterns because I'm only caught up in the moment because I don't realize it's me because I'm short-term thinking. You see the difference between long-term, we start saying, what is the pattern here? I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for observations. I'm paying attention to what am I doing today that's going to impact me down the road. Remember I say every time you invest in your save $1 today, you earn $1 for tomorrow, or you create some freedom for tomorrow, right? Every time you educate yourself today, you create freedom for tomorrow, right? But if you're always just chasing the hit, you're going to be a slave tomorrow. Matter of fact, you're going to grow up to be a slave.
I have a question.
Mama,
You're going to grow up to be a slave.
Sorry, y'all ancestors. They like, that shit ain't funny. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Go ahead.
So short-term thinking and long-term thinking. Even in long-term thinking, there's going to be some decisions that are for the short term. And there's like a long-term thinker is able to have agility between like what I'm doing right now and then what that impact is going to make on the future. I'm asking you to tell me if I'm right or wrong. There was supposed to be a question mark in there.
Okay, can I actually get a healthy way to get to long-term thinking, more of a healthier approach? Because I don't want to make it like I don't want to get to slapping hands.
Sure.
Long-term thinking, okay, and I saw somebody today did this. When you're micro thinking, you can't access long-term
Got
thinking.
it.
Give you an example. It's this game they play that's like tic-tac-toe. Anybody play tic-tac-toe, you know you can't win. If two people know how to play tic-tac-toe, it's a game you can't win. Because once you know the pattern, it doesn't matter. But let's say somebody plays tic-tac-toe and they don't know the pattern. And you put an X here, and I'm like, well, I want to start here. And then you put an X here, they don't even know they're being set up because they're caught up in what they're going to do and what you're going to do. Then they decide I want to play offense and defense in a reactionary term, right? Higher level thinking is positioning and patterns. Once you get to positioning patterns, you'll see the patterns. So no matter what they do, you always know what to do because you play in the bigger game, right? Long-term thinking is you start to see systems and patterns and positions in the world that you realize the moment doesn't matter sometimes. So if I'm arguing with you, I'm micro. Macro is I'm sitting there going, why is she arguing with me? Where's this going to benefit me? If I wake up tomorrow, do I even give a fuck? Does this impact my money? Does this have anything to do with where I'm going? This is noise. So how can I make this situation go away? Literally. Now, if I'm macro, but if you're micro, you're so busy, tit for tat, tit. You can't access this. So even if you say, I want to do long-term thinking, but you keep acting micro, you're poised. there's a micro. The micro becomes an umbrella that keeps. A ceiling that keeps you from ever rising to even engage macro movements. That's why the ego is the enemy is such a powerful fucking book, because it's the doorway to getting to a higher level of thought. And until you turn that ego door down, you will never access this whole different flow of it. When you listen to like building something large, or whether it's a big church, whether it's a city or a big business, or anything that's really, really successful with multiple employees, you listen to people talk strategy, it's mostly, they go from macro, micro. And now, mind you, micro has its value, because I don't get to it, but micro does have value. But they go macro, micro, but there's a lot of macro talk. When you go to a lot of folks in the hood or people who are poor, period, across people who are poor, it's a lot of micro dialogue. Oh, this got on my nerves. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, this. Oh, this. If you hang out with me, Court, Mashama, T. Pratt, sometimes Dave Max may go. Who else put with us on our retreat?
I don't believe T. Pratt exists.
Huh? Oh, Chris Foster, right?
I don't believe T. Pratt exists.
No, he exists.
I've never seen him
Matter of
before.
fact, if Zinga was here, that's her Uncle T, and she'll fight you for that, right? But anyway, so anyway, the thing is this: if we out somewhere, we don't have arguments because all of us are mostly in a macro space. We're not even having no micro dialogue. I'm not like, man, why'd you eat that with that fork? Or why'd you order that? Or, man, why you wear those shoes? Or why you late? Or you late? Just call an Uber, bro. We on our way. Oh, yeah, I got an Uber. I see y'all in there. It's almost like we don't let ourselves have micro dialogue. But why are we doing that? Are we micro snobs? No. Because we're on that vacation to process the year. In order for us to process the year, we got to get our mind in the right state, which is stepping back and look at the whole ecosystem and look for patterns and look for structures and look for principles that we had that may be corrupting the system, right? And so when we're together, it's the most peaceful 3 or 4 days you've ever seen between a group of men, because we're in a different space, right? Let me go out with a group of micro people. I don't think you're going to get past out the airport without an argument happening or without somebody getting irritated. So long-term thinking is a macro tool that's hard to access when you're trapped in micro dialogue, right versus wrong, binary thinking, victimization undertones, a lot of values and beliefs trap you in there. That's why you really have to do the work to get out of this rhythm and learn these principles. Because what we're doing is, what this class has done for you, we've been building steps for you to get out of that micro space for a long time. But some of y'all don't listen to no goddamn podcasts. Y'all just come to class like it's church. You know, you go to church, you don't read the Bible for shit. Ain't read the Bible since day one, since scripture, the pastor said, turn the book this. And you probably didn't even read that completely. You just probably read the first sentence, and then at that point, you're like, oh, keep talking, preacher. Ain't read nothing else, right?
Oh, my God.
So a lot of y'all come to this class the same thing. I put out more podcasts in this class to help you guys learn how to escape the survivor biases, the survivor fallacies. But instead, it's almost like you guys got drunk on the early wins. What do I mean by early wins? When you leave this class, there's layers to learning. You first learn this information, but it's not you. Then you got to play with the information. Now it's yours. Then you got to translate it to your language so you can share it. And now you really own it. But some of you guys will leave here, quote the goddamn book, and go tell your friends about all the knowledge you get. But you just quote the scriptures of the passages out of these books, and you don't realize you don't have ownership yet. Now, ownership also is slow. Once you say you need to change, your change is years away. It's the truth. What they say, you know somebody, you really don't know anybody until they get hit in the mouth, or are they in a frantic situation, then you know who they really are. When somebody hits a high level of stress or they're really angry, you really know who they really are. Watch how this knowledge translates when you're really frustrated and upset. Then I let you know where you really are at this knowledge space. You realize you don't know shit. I'm humble, I do meditation class, I'm very mindful. What that bitch say to me? What? You can't do that. Like what? Where's the mindfulness? You know, so it takes time to get this shit. It's a slow process. And the reason I'm saying it's important to know it's slow process, so you can be patient with yourself and don't beat yourself up because you know better, but you didn't do better. Know better and do better takes time to jail. There's some shit I ain't gonna get to. I'm like in my 70s probably. This shit I practice all the time. To this day, I work on my own shit all the time, all the fucking time, because I'm always trying to align what I learn and who I am. And even when I first try to align what I learn, I'm trying to mix it with the old shit, and that shit sometimes come out chemically wrong. Have you ever had Kool-Aid and Coca-Cola mixed together? That's how some of my shit tastes. Horrible. Just horrible. Let it go. Let's jump into this. The map is not the territory. This one concept here. If it don't fuck you up, I don't know what else is gonna fuck you up. We're gonna try to move. At some points, we're gonna move fast. Some points, we're gonna move slow. You understand me? We'll take it nice and slow. Like, you know. Here you go. hey, I'm doing like, no, Tina Turner, man. So nice and slow.
I thought about Usher.
Yeah, y'all. Some of y'all got y'all. Some of y'all. You know, whole people could be some nasty people sometimes. You know what I mean? All right. Let me let's read this point to you guys. Write this down. Beliefs are hypotheses. Mm-hmm. Beliefs. Y'all say police?
I hate
See, some of y'all, you tell our teacher the rule for the black
I hate
police. Wait, no, god damn it, I said belief. Hey, look here. Some of y'all assume the position. I didn't say hands up. I said beliefs are hypothesis, A-R-E, not our hypothesis, to be tested.
Sure.
Beliefs are a hypothesis to be tested. Now, hypothesis is an educated guess, right? So your belief is an educated guess to be tested, not treasured to be protected. Write that shit down. I want y'all to use that as affirmation for not a treasure to be protected. Some of y'all running around like your beliefs are treasures to be protected, and y'all protect your beliefs. They're nothing but a hypothesis to be tested. So beliefs are a hypothesis to be tested, not treasures to be protected. You know, you can't say that fast. I cannot say that fast. It's just, I ain't got pause. I'm not, hypothesis. You know what I'm saying? I can't roll my tongue. I can't even say Mexican right. I can't say Mexican right. I can't. I just messes this up. Man, I mess it up. Yeah. I can't go to this conversation because I'm at the pause myself. I'm not doing this. So anyway, so I'm not doing this. So beliefs are hypotheses to be tested, not treasures to be protected. That is such a powerful ass statement. You got to repeat that over. I believe that's just something you should test, not to be protected. Anyway, let's jump into this first one. Let's go.
The map is not the territory. The map of reality is not reality. Even the best maps are imperfect. That's because they are reductions of what they represent.
So real quick, map. Map is a concept of reality that you have that's simplified, but it's not the reality itself. Black people is a map. Real black people are outside, and that's not the same as when you say black people, right? Keep going.
If a map were to represent the territory with perfect fidelity, it would no longer be a reduction and thus would no longer be useful to us.
So key thing is that when you hear these terms we use as human beings, black people, it's a reduction of reality. It's not reality itself. If we actually were talking about reality itself, then a map you can't put it in a map format. It's too complex, right? If you have something that, you know, when you see a map, somebody draw a line like, okay, if you want to get from here, you make a left on this street, make a right on this street, then make a left on that other street right here. That's a map. But they wrote down everything you're going to see from every piece of grass you're going to come across in that process, every possible thing on the streets. The brain, that's not even longer a map. The brain doesn't even, we can't communicate like that. We don't talk like that. We can't move like that. It becomes almost, it's overwhelming for the limitations of the brain, because the brain is is a shortcut brain. It uses as little amount of resources as possible because it likes to burn as little amount of calories as possible. So it's always creating shortcuts and simplicity. Shortcuts and simplicity. Anybody that does marketing knows that if you want to market to the public, keep it simple. If it gets too complex, the brain be like, I don't have time for all that, right? So the brain is a shortcut simplicity animal. Keep going.
A map can also be a snapshot of a point in time, representing something that no longer exists.
So when somebody gives you a quoted statement or a fact about a mapping idea, always remember that it's attached to time. Black people are, whatever you say from that point on, it's a timestamp on that. It's not forever. Children are, that's a timestamp, not forever. You know what entrepreneurs are, it's a timestamp, not forever. Keep going.
This is important to keep in mind as we think through problems and make better decisions. Just because maps and models are flawed is not an excuse to ignore them. Maps are useful to the extent they are explanatory and predictive.
So, once again, maps are excellent tools for teaching. Let me say this to you as well. This is very, very important. A lot of maps you're going to find are flawed. There's no such thing. It's very rare you meet always perfect maps. But go back to the idea. Some of y'all beliefs are maps. That's why it should be a hypothesis. Not, it should be tested. You can't protect those ideas because they're always changing. This map is not a territory as we move forward in this. We're going to keep rolling fast. We'll roll fast with a few of these slides and we'll slow it down. Map is not the territory. It's the beginning of learning how to make advanced decision-making and uncertainty. This is advanced decision-making. This is when you can make decisions where big corporations will hire you to come in and help them process problems. This is high-level thinking. Next one.
Oh, shoot. Okay. The truth is, the only way we can navigate the complexity of reality is through some sort of abstraction.
Or I said that, keep going.
When we read the news, we're consuming abstractions created by other people.
So let's make it even say, every time you look on social media, the news, television, or any source of entertainment, they're just distractions. Why is it distractions? Because they're only telling you one perspective. Remember, go back to the elephant, there's multiple perspectives for anything that happens. It might be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 perspectives, right? So when a news reports on a perspective, they're only telling you one slither of reality, but there's many slithers of that same reality, right? Keep going.
The authors consumed vast amounts of information, reflected upon it, and drew some abstractions and conclusions that they share with us.
So they watch what happened, right? But even when they drew conclusions, it's trapped in their model of how the world should work. This is important. So if I watch something happen, I only can give you how I interpret it based upon my mental models, my beliefs, how the world works. You guys got that so far? Keep going.
But something is lost in the process. We can lose the specific and relevant details that were distilled into an abstraction.
Mm-hmm.
And because we often consume these abstractions as gospel, without having done the hard mental work ourselves.
Stop. I'm about to show you how social justice is nothing but abstractions that are just a map. It's not a model. You watch things on the news and you hear what people tell you. This is why people say don't watch the news. Because you're hearing these things about the way the world works, and none of us have the time or energy to go and find out, well, how does it really work? So now we have a buildup of all these distractions delivered to us from TV, movies, news, friends. These abstractions are building up, and we've never investigated it. So we got all these maps. Imagine you have 1,000 maps now, and somebody say, you know, United States. You're like, what part you want to know, baby? I got everything about the United States. Hey, what do you think about the cats happening in New York? Oh, let me tell you what's happening in New York. Well, what do you mean you can tell me what's happening in New York? You want to show your map, or you want to show your reality? You start to see the difference here? How this starting to happen? This is when I say this is major, I can show y'all major mistakes corporations make in this space. And I'm talking about millions, I would argue billions of dollars are lost per year for this one problem right here. I promise a lot of y'all will go broke on this one alone. Especially in the black community, because we're a map-based community. We don't like to find the evidence of truth. We just, give me some extraction, Give me that map. I know it now. No, you don't. Keep rolling.
Without having done the hard mental work ourselves, it's tricky to see when the map no longer agrees with the territory. We inadvertently forget that the map is not reality.
Next slide.
When we mistake the map for reality, we start to think we have all the answers.
So, you ain't got all the answers, Sway. So when you start listening to all these abstractions from news and television and from movies, you don't even know you're picking them up after a while. You got so used to thinking maps are reality that you built up a whole, matter of fact, the reality that you have in your maps, you can't distinguish the difference. You can't distinguish the difference. Some of you guys have social media television rhythms because you think those maps are true. Right? Like somebody says, social media makes more sense once you understand it's just a place where people go to perform. But some of you guys are using it as abstract assessment of reality. That's how the social justice movement has grown so big, because people can't, what the fuck is black people? What the fuck is white people? What the fuck is Asian specific people? What the fuck is LGBTQ? And what the fuck is people of color? Those are all maps that's based upon abstractions. But the problem is that no one is going beyond what the map that's been handed to them. So then it gives you a false confidence. Oh, I'm an activist. I want to commit my money, my time, and my resources to stop this issue, when you don't even know what the fuck you fighting for and who the enemy is. You guys get where I'm going with this? Keep rolling.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We create static rules or policies that deal with the map, but forget that we exist in a constantly changing world.
So real quick, when government creates policies for black communities, when people come to the black community, come help, when nonprofits show up, they all operate on maps. And now, I don't know, Earl, since you've been around, you've seen a lot of nonprofits before come to the black community, right? Court, since you've been around, you've seen a lot of government and nonprofits help out, right? How much change have you seen that work from that shit working? Now, I've been in a room with those people. They will fight me on what black people need all damn day. Going back to the guy the court talked about, the people the court talked about that's going around teaching about entrepreneurship. It's a map, people. You ain't even did the work. You never did the work, but now you want to go teach people about entrepreneurship because you got the map entrepreneurship. So I told, like he told Josh, I just go to Donna classes every once in a while and like just paint my map a little different, and I just keep teaching from the map. It's working for me. So you have a false sense of confidence from a fucking map. You ever been in Utah? Yeah, look at. So I've driven there, but I've been here in my mind, and I've been here before, and I can imagine it feels like this here, and I would rent a car and go from here to here because it doesn't seem like it's that far at all. You get there and find out none of that shit works. The map is not reality. Keep rolling.
When we close off or ignore feedback loops, we don't see the terrain has changed, and we dramatically reduce our ability to adapt to a changing environment.
Business. We done talked about feedback loops 1,000 times with Court, right? Court has been a masterful. He's hit feedback loops in ways I have never even produced those ideas or the complexity. He's hit it from different angles of why feedback is so important. Narcissism and ego makes you so vulnerable to the point that you'll never access reality. Remember when I said earlier that if you want to access long-term thinking, you got to get out of micro? It's the same thing. Your ego is the door between make-believe and reality. And you cannot access the reality of the world because let's say you had a map and it was accurate when you received it. But let's say 3 years from now it's changed. You won't change with it. You know why? Because you're really basing your decisions on the map. You're not paying attention to reality. So when you lose your business because reality changed, it wasn't, oh, I got caught slipping. It was, I was locked in on the map. I wasn't seeing people. And when people came to you, be like, yo, that's not working no more. You'd be like, yeah, I hear you, but. Yeah, I hear you, but. Yeah, I hear you, but. And your argument sounds so charismatic and eloquent. And You say all the fancy words, and you say words I don't have to look up what I'm talking. I'm using my Google Voice so I can listen to you and translate the fuck you just said to me. And yet, all you do is articulating the map, not reality. You see the difference? Education won't save you from this one. It's awareness level of going, oh shit, how do I know this? How do I really know this? And have I been winning by this map so long that I've convinced myself the map is actually true? Keep rolling.
Reality is messy and complicated.
Let me say it better. Uncertain, unpredictable, random. That's reality. Remember I said earlier, I said the same things earlier. Reality is not this neat, do A, get B, do C, get D. I know there's one guy who did this, so this is why he's here. Mm-hmm. People in the past did this, so this is why they didn't get here. That's all distortions of reality. That's all bullshit. That's why most historians, history is not in the science category, because it can't be science. There's too many variables for the same shit. So one guy could do this and fail, and this other guy could do it, and he lived his whole life. He won. But what history does is focuses on what I don't like about the world, and they won't talk about the failure, but don't talk about the wins, who did the exact same fucking thing. Exact same fucking thing. So this is this concept of map is not reality. It's also telling you that when you dib and dab in history references, those are maps. They're not reality. Keep going.
So our tendency to simplify it is understandable. However, if the aim becomes simplification rather than understanding, we start to make bad decisions.
All you need to know is, let me just make it real simple for you. See, this is make it real easy. See, let me just break it down real fast to you. People like that are fools talking to you. Some things can't be simple, baby. There's times simple works, because when it comes to communication, it works. But unfortunately, some of this shit is just fucking complex. And if you have this thing where you're allergic to complexity, then that's traumatic. That's something else going on inside of you. Because all of you are capable of handling complexity. Let me say this too. When you first engage complexity, know this, it's going to hurt your brain because your muscle's weak. Keep training, and before you know it, your muscle gets strong, and one day it's going to blow your fucking mind. There's books I'm reading right now that when I tried to pick up 10 years ago, and I thought to myself, who reads this shit? Now they're my favorite kind of books to read. I don't want to, the shit I used to read back then, sound like I'm singing A, B, C, D. John caught Mary. Mary ran up the hill. John was like, where are you going, Mary? That's what the books feel like to me. But I built the muscle up. I'm a East Oakland hood kid that up to the age of 20 only read one book, Firestarter, because I was, I thought that shit was kind of dope. Before then, they tried to get me to read Judy Blume, and they lost me.
Judy Blume.
Like, look at me. I like read Judy Blume. I read Harley Davidson before I read Judy Blume. What the fuck is that? But anyway, they had me try to read Judy Blume, right? And so I thought I was going to hate reading for the rest of my life because you started me off with Judy Blume trauma. Anyway, and so then when I go through high school, I would just read what I needed to read to pass the test. So I had this horrible relationship with reading. So then up to when I hit 21, I found out that we were oppressed. And all of a sudden I read Malcolm X Speaks, and I wanted to read every book in the world about black folks. But even those books were limited because they were maps, and they were bias-based maps. And then then when I started my own business, I started to broaden my range, and I implemented a study an hour and a half a day. And all of a sudden I realized how much I did not know. And then when we started doing the work in the community, we would have these great ideas of what was going to work and put it out there and got zero responses. Because you learn real quickly that you don't know people until you listen to people. And who they are today has to do with who they're going to be tomorrow. If I come into your community to do some insight research, meaning I'm trying to market a product to that community, and I leave that community for 5 years and I come back, that same marketing won't work. They're on to some other shit. That means that when you run a business, you have to constantly listen. When you get confident in your website, you get confident in what you're doing, the map is not the terrain. What you feel about the world is not the world. You may have been accurate at one point, but the world's constantly changing. A guru, if you get somebody who's a guru, so it's called an expert dilemma. Experts have the hardest time changing. You know why? Let's say I went to school to master the war in Vietnam. When Vietnam is over, you know how hard it is for me to start over? So I'm gonna keep going through society talking about how I'm paying attention to the chances of us losing another war like Vietnam, why Vietnam is so important. I wrote a book last year on how Vietnam impacted this because I can't change. So the reality is that because reality is changing so much, once you grow your business and you become stronger, you become addicted to that way of things going. Now realizing whatever you started your business with, whatever concept, you may have been 100% accurate, but accuracy is always changing.
They're having a hard time with this right now.
Turn it again.
They're having a hard time with this right now in China with MMA fighters versus all traditional martial arts. And so all the old masters of different martial arts have been called out by particular MMA fighters, and he's beating their ass. And so it's causing this stir because they're like, you're fucking with our traditions that's been here for thousands of years. And he's like, I'm trying to elevate you guys to let you know that shit don't work no more. MMA is a superior art, and they refuse to bend. So now they're like having these challenges, and he's literally like beating all their ass.
Wow. That's huge.
Yep.
The map is not the terrain. Next one. Keep going. Next one, yeah.
We can't use maps as dogma.
Go ahead.
Maps and models are not meant to live forever as static references.
Mm-hmm.
The world is dynamic. As territories change, our tools to navigate them must be flexible to handle a wide variety of situations.
Please pause right there. What Malcolm X said, you know what Martin Luther King said, you know what Marcus Garvey did, you know what the Black Panthers did? Irrelevant. Everything's changed. You can praise them for that moment, what they did and how they showed up respect. It's not saying that everything they did, you can't throw out the baby in the bath. There's some baby in there with the bathwater, right? But to just try to copy and pass and do exactly what old activists did to change the world, shit changed. And that's the for business. This is why entrepreneurs know this. Activists don't know this because all activists, they're like early stage entrepreneurs. They just got a new idea, they see a problem, and they're gonna copy whatever's worked before, right? So some of y'all come into business like activists. You're just gonna copy what happened before. If you copy Radio Shack, even though Radio Shack worked, let's say when Radio Shack before it failed, you just copy that idea. It may never work for anybody besides Radio Shack. There's so many logistics things that play a role when they were born, brand development. There's so many layers, and that generation is dying off. Mm-hmm. So the reality is like the generation, my parents would have said, go to Radio Shack. By the time I became an adult, I wasn't even thinking about Radio Shack unless what would I want for Radio Shack? Right? The market is always shifting. So it's not enough just to read what somebody did and try to do the same thing. That's like how a dog would approach something. Like, how do I go to work and do my job? That's why you don't have a job as an entrepreneur. You're always sniffing and figuring out what's changing. If you're not sniffing in the wilderness at all times, then you're a dog in the backyard waiting for the same thing to happen over and over and over again. That's not how this shit works. This shit changes all the time. There can be a forest fire tomorrow. It could be a new animal introduced to my ecosystem that wasn't there before. One of the resources water can go low tomorrow. A bear could come in and eat the same food I eat, and I gotta fight this big ass bear. Right? I don't know what the fuck's about to happen, but I gotta constantly sniff. Now, if I'm sniffing, I can always make the adjustment. If you ever watch some animals will travel miles to make adjustment because their ecosystem is collapsing. They can sense it. But a dog is sitting out there night after night waiting for somebody to feed him till it's too late. And so once you realize that you cannot make your ideas, you can't protect your ideas, you cannot protect these models, you cannot, women and feminism, I don't know what that means today. I think we need to reevaluate it every year. But the founder said, I don't give a fuck about the founder because that's a different time. And she may or he may be right as fuck in that moment. But in 2023, you sound insanely crazy. How the fuck are you mad at people over these ideas of the past? It's the weirdest shit ever. Keep going.
If the value of a map or model is related to its ability to predict or explain, then it needs to represent reality. If reality has changed, the map must change.
So every time reality change in your business, you got, as an entrepreneur, you're always updating your maps. You know that? You don't say, look, for 20 years, I always did it this way. And when I die, I'm going to be doing the same way. Okay, I know slavery is over, but you haven't left. The reality is that is the mindset of the people who had no hope. When you're out here building, that's not the language of builders. When people are building, what we have to say is, we got to pay attention to what's changing in the ecosystem to know how to just shift all of our maps that we use every day to run our businesses. That's why you can't be superficial in business and last long. That's short game. This is why the long game thinking, you gotta say, well, how does this small thing over here impact this thing over here? What does that mean to me, and what do I need to shift to keep my business alive? And if you're not paying attention to those warnings, you don't really get to complain to me. Now, is there possible something can happen? No one saw COVID coming. We're not saying this. We're talking about trend shifting. So in business, here's something you guys may not know. If you're in business for 10 years, you'll become the OG business and new business and knock you out. It takes about 10 years. Whatever you're doing, it was fresh. But if you stay with that same model, 10 years from now, a new business is going to come along and the public will start saying, oh, you're that OG business down the street. Y'all the old school restaurant, the old school gym, right? Because you forgot to map it. You fell in love. You turned your map into a dogma. Now I realize you need to change that map and adjust to the market you're serving. Apple's always changing its market. Apple said, man, fuck what y'all heard. What the young people talking about right now? Okay, that's what we're doing right now. Right? And you can, so this is important because I promise you, a lot of you guys are running around here preaching maps. Ain't did shit. If you ever called yourself an activist and you ain't moved no money and you ain't changed no lives physically, where people can say, I changed this person's life, and this person's life, I saved that person, and I fixed this in society and impacted these ecosystems, then you are full of maps. But in your mind, you think that shit's real. You walk around with your dashiki on, a strawberry stick in your mouth, and you got books, or you got all kind of audio books in your system, and you over a hotel, Baba. Wakanda forever! so, at the end of the day, your impact is you're just full of maps. Next slide. Come on now.
Maps can't show everything.
It can't show everything.
Some of the biggest map territory problems are the risks of the territory that are not shown on the map.
Keep going.
When we're following the map without looking around, we trip right over them. Any user of a map or model must realize that we do not understand a model, map, or reduction unless we understand and respect its limitations.
Mm-hmm. Stop. When we say stay humble, this is a strategical reason why you have to stay humble. Let's say you have a group of employees. You know, I used to be an employee. You don't know shit about them. You're going to trip over so many mistakes and you're going to cause so much damage because you won't separate the map from the territory. You know how you separate the map from territory? You can have your perception of why people did something and go, hey, why'd you do that? That's it. Why'd you do that? If you want to go to a new area, hey, send somebody in that area. We want to send a new product to this new area. Send somebody in that new area. Have them just sit at the park bench and walk around, just listen to the people. Who do we know in that community? Is there somebody that does work in the community all the time? Can I have them come in and do an interview with me? I need to know some questions. You get to learn your audience. And here's the thing. So let's say you gathered all this knowledge and you adjust your products and it's moving. Next year, hey, who else is getting any more community activists? Can you have that activists come on in again next year? Because that person is going to provide you so much information to know how to shape your product to hit that community accurately every time and blow the fuck up. One of the reasons you can beat reason. Okay, so I'm about to give you the dopest tactic you've ever heard from those who feel they're oppressed. You know how a small black business can smoke a big white business? Big white businesses no longer can see the territory. You can. This is again, white people start labeling you and they stop seeing you. They struggle like a motherfucker. You're a $1.1 trillion market and you try to copy and paste their rhythm. Are you insane? Your superpower is ability to say, I see them. I see how Big Mama really runs this neighborhood right here. I see that gangster. He really ain't that gangster. I see this person. I see at the end of the day, they actually, if you go in there this way, they'll show love. You go in there this way, they'll shoot at you. Like, once you can really see the people, you know exactly how to talk to them, show up to them, provide for them, serve them. But the reason big companies, this is why big companies' greatest fear is small versions of you. You're the biggest threat in the world. So in order for me to keep you as a non-threat, I got to keep selling you my how big I am, how powerful I am. If you see how many, I sold billions last year. I sell billions a day. It's nothing for me. I got 400 brands. It's nothing. You can't match me. But their weakness is they can't see you.
That shit is crazy.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
Powerful.
Man.
That's revolutionary as a motherfucker. Like I said, I don't preach hatred of nobody because that's wasted. It's not that I don't dislike some people, you understand me? But if you preach it, all you're doing is adding drag to your system. I need you guys to pick up velocity and move forward. So don't focus on who you don't like, focus on who you do like, and just move from there, right? And even the people you think you don't like, sometimes it's a map, it's not the territory. You know, like I told somebody the other day, you know the nicest racist place I've ever been to in my life? I'm not going back because the food sucked. It was Memphis, Tennessee. Some of the nicest white people I've ever met in my life. You look on a map, you swear to God, they go Republican, don't give a fuck about black people. Some of the nicest flag, motherfucking Confederate flag hanging people you've ever met. The map is not the territory. You watch TV, you won't leave California. It's the craziest shit ever. I go to New York, I walk around all of New York. I don't know, it's not a part of New York I don't think I've ever walked through. Some of the places was heated when I walked through in the early days. But my map distorted my reality. Also, I discovered the territory. So just like when somebody says, you know, Chicago's on fire. Well, if you live there, you know the territories. You're like, oh, well, yeah, it's here and it happens here and there. But from the outside, I ain't going to no part of Chicago. I'm good. The map is not the territory. I want y'all to see, this is so important because when you're trying to make assessment to make decisions and you keep mixing the two up and you wonder why your decisions suck because you keep using the map to make all your fucking decisions. Back in the days, Shakina doesn't do this to me anymore, but the first 2 years of Hope in the early photography classes, I would say something very harsh about reality. She'd be like, no, maybe it's this way. No, come on now, you be a little harsh. It could be this way. Oh, there you go, Nana. And then she'd see, oh shit, the shit worked. A lot of times when you call out reality for the territory itself, it's too harsh for reality. People don't want to hear that. Talk to a white philanthropist about the way the black community really works, and they still talk to you about reparations and give them money. And black folks will be like, okay, fuck it, give me money then. Shit, I take it, but it ain't gonna change shit. You say, well, why won't reparations change shit for a majority of the people? It will change for some people because that's what probability says. Somebody's gonna blow up from it. But reasons I don't change a large portion of the people is because they don't know how to manage resources. They never had it to manage. That's why when you give a poor person a lottery, they're gonna lose it because they never had it to manage. They're not stupid. You have so many emotional impulses going to kick in when you get money, it's going to be unimaginable to you until you get it. When those emotional impulses kick in, your ability to resist those impulses is close to zero because it's so fucking powerful. All your trauma's going to come out. I ain't never been loved. I ain't never been valued. I ain't never had this. I ain't never did this. I want to say this. Fuck all y'all now. And before you know it, you look at your bank account, $3,000. What the fuck happened? What about all those close networks where everybody like had each other back to eat every day? And now you get your million. What you gonna do with that network? Well, okay, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. I help you. I help. Now you look at your account. Now you're down to $80,000. And y'all know in the Bay Area, 80 grand is like not even a full fucking year. You see where I'm going with this? How there's layers to reality that nobody wants to talk about. So if you went online right now and said this to people in public, oh, now I'm hating on black people. He don't want us to have our money. I ain't what I said. Take that money. You better get your motherfucking money. But now, will it impact and change community? Fix your hopes. Now, is it possible somebody will blow up? Yes. But once again, if you say hit me when you got 18, don't mean it's a good strategy.
I was going to say something, but you said more stuff after that, so now I feel like, damn. Okay, I will say it. Small brands always say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. And I'm like, but you do. You it's the most powerful position to have.
You do.
They build teams to replicate that. Call insights. Like they're the people who are paid to not know, and they disconnect them from like you. It does. You're
at
good.
the barbershops. You're on the stoop. You're walking through them. You're saying what's up. That's your bar. That's your weekend friends. That's the people you say hi to the community. You know them. Now you may need to take some time to translate how to serve them, but you actually have the data. You might have egotistical block as access give you that's destroying your access to the data or how to use the data, but you have the data. And big businesses know you're their greatest threat. So a lot of times when you're white people got all this stuff, you're missing the fucking point. You got the superpower, but you won't play it because you living in a space of envy. You envy their shit so much you can't see how great you are.
The part about them like kind of saying, I'm big, I'm big, I'm big, and us buying into that. Dopish. It's like obvious, but it wasn't. So for you to put words to that is crazy.
Right on, family. Right on.
That's crazy because it's so true. I was like, oh shit. Yes.
It's huge.
We see it every day, but anyway. Thank you for that.
Think about Core Smith. So Oakland, we have Oakland Pride, right? So think about when Core Smith produces a piece. Core got the basketball industry, and then you got Actively Black, who's been going after black folks, right? Actively Black is blown the fuck up. Core Smith blown the fuck up. Why? They see the people they serving. Adidas been serving the same clothes to the same people, and they miss them. Court knows that. Court knows when he goes out to the basketball court, they don't see the new black kids. They have a model of black kids. They don't see the black kids. Nike has a model of black kids. They don't see the black kids, right? And they keep pulling a certain lever. But that lever is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And Core is just positioning. Now, 10 years from now, you're like, damn, Core is big as Nike. Well, guess what? That's what the fuck he did. He capitalized on his relationships. Now, where Core can go wrong is he repeats the mapping that they use, which is now just label Oakland black kids, LA black kids. No, I need to keep somebody on the ground level listening to those kids, uploading that data to the decision makers. Is that some cold shit?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's cold shit. It reminds me of a thing Nike did. Is that for a second they had a shirt that said, I think it was "Just Do It In," and you go to San Francisco and it say San Francisco. You go to LA, it say "Just Do It in LA." New York, it said "Just Do It in New York." So somebody in some office was like, "I got an idea because we're so big, we can't micro focus on those cities. Let's just make a "Just Do It In" and then plop the city in there." But in Compton, that shit don't work at all. They don't even realize that. There's sayings and little trick words that they use that if somebody capitalized on that, they win. Same up here. Same in other different regions, and you don't realize how powerful you are when, even if you're small, if you capitalize on your region.
It's huge. And even like, okay, so for example, the word town was hot. The town, right? But the more people you use it, it starts to deteriorate. So that's the reason you got to keep listening. So black people, once I can get you out this funk, you'll see the superpowers you possess. But as long as you continue to envy white folks and say, why can't you be them, then you're wasting time. White folks where they are. Okay, so some other day, it's not that I don't see racism. I see all the racism, right? I don't see all of it. I see enough. But in business, we used to, let's say Javon decided he wanted to battle me in business. First of all, I would welcome the battle. But you know why? Because the battle's gonna make both of us stronger. And it's normal for us. We can battle all day and go have lunch together, like, man, that was a nice battle. I see you tomorrow, I'm whoop you. He's like, well, good luck. And I see, hey, your wife gonna come with me this weekend? Y'all family gonna come with us this weekend? Yeah, we'll be there, right? We realize battle is part of the game. You're not my enemy. I don't hate you. I don't dislike you because we battle. It's part of the game. Then I come over to the social side, and we're saying, oh, white folks should just give us a pathway and not battle us.
What?
I don't know what that means. I'm a wolf. I don't talk that language. I'm like, if they battling with us, that's what they supposed to do. But it doesn't mean I can't whoop that ass.
I think and then part of that is because feeling like if I battle with you, I'm going to fall off the cliff.
No,
but that's a positioning.
And that's a survivor. That's a survivor mindset he talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Because your feeling of what this battle means to you is your trauma coming from your survival space. But once you actually get a healthy foot in the game, you realize now. Okay, for example, for Shakina, so real quick. Here's a quick question for you guys. Shakina has a gym up in Oakland Hills. Who's her competition? Let's get one at a time. Go ahead. Okay, outside Josh being the Jewish lover, no. Anybody else? What's the competition? Go ahead. Okay, so we say gyms. What else is a competition? Anybody else? You say 24-hour fitness. Give me another one. What else is our competition? Private trainers. That's another one. Who else is our competition? Javon. People parking in their parking spot. Huh?
I said people parking in her parking spot.
No. Who's there as a competition?
Yeah.
Pilates studios, right? Who else is a competition?
Would it be the restaurant?
Huh?
Would it be restaurant?
No. Yeah, it's like they in the same field that's like literally could steal her customers away from her.
And that's interesting to say restaurants. It's a different.
Like, I'd rather eat than go to the gym.
No, but when we say we're talking about competition, that's a asymmetry as opposed to symmetric. Okay, symmetric. Bicycling, swimming,
hiking,
Peloton, hiking, stairs, camping, YouTube, video games,
apps.
Okay, so now once you understand, all those people are attacking her business at all times. There's two ways she can show up to this. If she gets mad at it, she's gonna die. It's gonna overwhelm her. She's gonna quit. It's like this is too much. Too much. New Xbox game. I was trying to do like South Park. Just go. But anyway, but you'll lose your mind, right? Or she can enjoy the battle and see those as all offering, like what Scott said earlier today. He trains the person behind him on what he did to whoop him so he can become better. That's why as black businesses, I'm not in competition with nobody. I give you everything. You know why? Because I got to become greater. And I give it to you again, and I'm going to become greater. And then even if we have all the knowledge equally, is how do you execute your strategy? Because doing the same thing over and over and over don't guarantee you'll win. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand, like, competition is part of the game. The white guy who doesn't love you, he's noise. Who gives a shit? Stop caring about Karens. Stop caring about Karens. You understand me? Yeah, no pun intended. So stop caring about Karen. The reality is that once you look at this shit on a whole different scale, it is more important if you're an activist to go build and change the fibers of reality than to sit here at your house mad as a motherfucker losing. ain't impacting. If you can't hire your people, who the fuck you gonna teach? If you ain't performing, who wants to listen to you? Have you ever been to Fight Team Media? Have you seen how smart that environment is?
Yes.
Okay. No offense, but do you realize me and Mashama teach that shit day in, day out in the office? And we reshaping the lives of everybody who works with us, who ever worked with us? But if we can't perform, do you know that weakens our lessons? It's reality. Keep rolling, because get a couple more in. Come on, keep going. What, did we finish this one?
We finished this one.
Next slide.
No, we didn't.
We did. It's okay.
Yeah, we
Josiah.
did. I'm like, yeah, we
Josiah, stop combing your hair. Come on, change. There you go. Thank you, Josiah. Got that oil in his hair. Can touch the button. Go ahead.
Oh.
At least I got here. I'm sorry, Josiah. You know me. I don't want to offend you, Josiah. At least I got here.
Got him. It did sound like that.
Go ahead. So anyway, go ahead.
As a rational being, each herdsman seeks to maximize his gain.
Okay, so this story is here. This story is about. So they had this group of herdsmen that was on this plot of land. This is so powerful, and they realized the land could not feed a whole bunch of animals. So they came with this rule that each herdsman gets one animal, right? So if you own this piece of land, each herdsman will get one cow. Let's say one cow or one sheep. And so let's start from there. So as a rational
being, each herdsman seeks to maximize his gain. Explicitly or implicitly, more or less consciously, he asks, what is the utility to me of adding one more animal to my herd?
So he's asking the question. This is a powerful map. This is one of the most powerful. This is so personal to home. This is close to home. He's saying, okay, but what happens if I just add one more animal? We still got hella grass left. There's hella grass that's not being eaten. What happens if I just add one more animal? I mean, what the fuck difference is going to make? I mean, yeah, nobody else has an extra animal, but I just want to add one more animal to take care of my fucking family. And we still have grass that's left over, so your animals won't die. So what's the harm? Because in our mind, this is so important. We look at maps of rules around us, and a lot of times we think we understand them but we haven't suffered the terrain that created the map. Keep rolling.
This utility has one negative and one positive component.
Go for it.
One, the positive component, is a function of the increment of one animal. Mm-hmm. Since the herdsman receives all the proceeds from the sale of the additional animal, the positive utility is nearly +1.
So if he sells one animal, right? If he gets extra animal, he's able to sell another animal. He has a utility. He makes some money off of selling one of the animals. Keep it simple. Keep going.
The negative component is a function of the additional overgrazing created by one more animal.
Mm-hmm. So now you get two animals. The negative of that one person get an animal. So you're saying, let me think about, should I let him have another animal or not? This is important because it's about rules of building your own company. You say, well, if I let him have one animal, he can have an extra animal to sell to take care of his family. But the negative side, he might be overgrazing. Just stay with that. Keep going.
Created by one more animal. Since, however, the effects of overgrazing are shared by all the herdsmen, the negative utility for any particular decision-making herdsman is only a fraction of one. So,
let me help you out with this. If I let you do it, yes, it's going to cause damage. But if the rest of y'all copy him, I got to equate that to the math. So like if you make a policy for your company, sometimes you get caught in the micro, right versus wrong. You'd be like, okay, well, I'll let him do it. Okay, cool, I'll let you go. But unintended consequences, this is kind of an unintended consequences. If it starts to become contagious, now all of us as added an extra animal, can the field still handle that? But keep going. It goes further than that. Keep going.
Adding together the component partial utilities, the rational herdsman concludes that the only sensible course for him to pursue is to add another animal to his herd.
So Every rational person, now this shows a limitation of rationality too. Every rational herdsman is saying that, okay, cool, well, it always makes sense to add just one more animal. It just, if you add an animal, it really makes sense that if we want to take care of our families, we all should add another animal. But keep going. And
another.
And
another. But this is the conclusion reached by each and every rational herdsman sharing a commons.
So each one of you, as you move in an individual space, are making these decisions in your community. Walnut Creek has a group of maps of how to live in their city. This is why if some of y'all move in, and when your black folks move to certain white communities, and you get friction from the white folks, and you think it's petty, it's not petty. You think it's racist, then you go, oh, they're just being racist. No, you're missing the point. You may decide to change your battery in your front of your house, which drops no oil, because you know you're gonna drop no oil. And they'd be like, yo, somebody come out the house like, hey, partner, cut it out. Can't do that. You're thinking, what the fuck, I just changed it? It's my fucking house. What the fuck you talking about? Hey, you knew this block. It's against our rules. We're gonna fine you or something. We report you to the city, call the city on you. You're like, God damn. There's some racist ass. They try to get rid of me in the neighborhood. You can't see the different map. Huh? They want 6 kids. She doesn't want 6 junk cars on the block. So keep going.
Therein is the tragedy. Each man is locked into a system that compels him to increase his herd without limit in a world that is limited. Ruin is the destination toward which all men rush.
Let me say again. Say what is the destination towards where all men rush to where? Is that powerful as fuck? So even though each one of you are rationalizing your needs, those needs result in your ruins, i.e. ghetto. Ghettos are not a moral collapse. It's people having different maps and different rationale towards their own successes that eventually takes them towards their ruins. Is that shit crazy?
It's just the absence of rules.
Absence of rules. But not your rules. The group rules. Individualism, this is almost a mapping of how individualism becomes part of the destruction, because you think you think that you exist outside the group. when court keeps telling you a herd animal and you live by the rules of the herd, no one ever asks, well, what's the map of the herd? What we try to do is implement our own rules, and then you implement your rules, but at some point those rules will start to cross on resources and cause community destruction.
Can you contrast that to part of business is onlyness, right? Especially this landscape, there's so many people with so much products and services. And so can you contrast that to a business that needs to do its own thing to stand out?
No, it's like different. Okay. If you come into a culture and to serve a culture, you have a responsibility to the culture. Gotcha. You don't get to just say, I'm doing me. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I hate about social justice. Too much of this over-exaggeration of individualism, when even though, yes, you're right, but if you continue to magnify those rights, you'll destroy the whole system for all of you guys. Okay, watch this. Stay with me on this. It's going to fuck y'all up. I'm trying to fuck y'all brain up here. You're not trying to do it every week. But the things I learned is so different than the way I was raised. It fucks me up all the time. I'm in a constant like, what the fuck mode? But this is when I learned a little ways back. If you build a large society, you cannot practice fairness. If you build a large society, you cannot practice fairness. It's not possible. You know what fairness is the enemy of? Incentives. When you build incentives, it's not fair. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the way you motivate your employees is through incentives. Mm-hmm. So once you build an incentive program, it ain't fair no more. So when you try to practice fairness, you slowly destroy the morale of the system, of the people within the system. Social justice, equity movement, and a fairness movement should be separate ideas, and they gel together. This is what social justice is. This is why I hate it so much. So it automatically attacks incentive programs. Everybody gets a trophy. No more advanced classes in Oakland. All the kids, the smart kids. Now, so fairness creates unfairness for other people.
Yo, I was just thinking, like, if you had a business and you had a customer, you were closed. You were closing up, cleaning up shop, and customer knocked on the door and said, "Hey, can I get in?" You say, "No, we closed." But if a well-known celebrity was saying, "I'm gonna spend $100,000 a night," I guarantee you're gonna open that door up right in front of the person you said that is closed and service that person, because life ain't fair like that.
It ain't fair like that. Nothing about always looking for fairness is almost like you drunk with an illusion. And some of you are depressed because the world just doesn't seem fair. When has it ever been? I'll wait for you. It's not. That's not how it's designed. The world is designed not to be fair. Doesn't mean that you don't. Okay. Do you practice fairness on a small group? Yes, you do. Right. But fairness is a tool. It's not a reality. It's not. It's a map. It's not a terrain. Fairness is a map, not a terrain. To use it all the time is damaging. It's destructive. Once again, you're rationalizing why I need to be fair. Well, I need to be fair. I need to be fair. This is why California governments are locked up right now. They're trying to be fair to everybody. They got trash in the system they can't get rid of because they got to be fair. Mm-hmm. They can't tell this guy who's actively like a charismatic gay person who's super loud with it, very popular. They can't fire this person who sucks. It's got to be fair. They can't fire this woman because they got to say, you can't fire this black person because, They can't hire this white dude who actually know what the fuck he doing. Because it's just. Now, in some cases, that is what it is. I was at Harley Davidson today, and I was like, Harley Davidson's like Budweiser. They have a very masculine brand. So if a woman came to work at Harley Davidson and she wanted to wear skimpy clothes, Harley Davidson has to tell you, change your clothes. Put on clothes that feels like you work on motorcycles, ride motorcycles, or something. One or two. But you can't be like a video vixen. Not in the game. If a black dude came to work for Harley Davidson and he was soft, ooh, what you want? That's too much. You can't turn it down. Turn it down. Our brand is military masculinity. That's the only way we sell this. That's the only way these motorcycles ain't the best motherfucking motorcycles ever. Japanese got us beat on technology. But you're buying nostalgia. You're buying a brand that gives people. So when I put on this Harley Davidson, I'm celebrating my machismo. You understand me? So I don't put on Harley Davidson and I'm celebrating butterflies. This says I hit butterflies when I'm on my Harley going 90. This is what it says, right? So you can't bring a butterfly expert in there and expect the business to work. That's not fair. But it's business. When you run a society, if I decide to give black people reparations, what do you think the Latino community gonna say? Chinese were the first black people of the Bay Area. They got fucked over bad. Chinese got dogged. I'm talking about disrespected. What do you think they gonna say? Are you gonna punish us because some of my kids went to school? Fuck you, man. All I'm saying doing good. You ever seen a bread line? Chinese are long in bread lines. It's an illusion that they're all doing good. So some of them have been wrong like a motherfucker. What do you think Japanese who internment camps and got their property snatched from them in California gonna say? What do you think about the poor white people? There's hella poor white people. Have you guys been to motherfucking what's that park with the waterfalls and shit?
Niagara Falls?
Yosemite.
Have you guys been in that town? There's some poor white people between here and Yosemite. What do you think they gonna say? Fairness is not scalable. When you build systems, there's a guy who got cut from the league last week who could tell you all day long how he's better than Michael Jordan. Sorry, bro. It's not fair, but it is what it is.
All right, question.
Go ahead.
So, I'm asking this because we're kind of talking about the tragedy of the commons and all that. And I get that fairness doesn't exist and it's not scalable, but how do you, in game theory, there's a term called Moloch, which is kind of like a bigger version of prisoner's dilemma, which means like everybody is going to use a shitty route to get a good win because they're incentivized to get a win. But because everybody is using the shittiest, quickest route to get to that win, it kind of takes, just everybody loses. It just kind of becomes this downward cascade where everything kind of collapses downward. So how do you kind of manage that? If there's no fairness, how do you keep a balance in there to avoid the tragedy of the commons?
Equitable systems is different than fairness systems.
Okay.
So, for example, okay, picture in your mind a big ass tree, like Oakland tree, but this tree has all the resources every human being needs, right? Giving equal access to the tree, that's equitable. Fairness is that although court worked the hardest to learn, I'm gonna take half of court stuff and give it to everybody. Right? It's a difference. That's a difference, right? So my goal is keep that tree alive, keep opportunities open. When you go to Castlemont, it's not equitable. It's telling the kid out the gate, it's priming that kid, you don't have a chance. Certain places in the south side of Chicago is not equitable. It's telling the kid you don't have a chance, right? But once you build a smart system that's equitable, you realize you can't be fair to everybody. It's just not fun. It's not scalable. It's not possible. Anytime you create incentives and somebody wins, both of you practice hard, but he gets the trophy, you get nothing. He gets the money, you get nothing. He might get another girlfriend, you get nothing. Well, you might get like maybe social justice girlfriends. But the point is this, you got something. But you don't get nothing.
So many jokes there.
Nothing. So what I'm saying is that this idea of fairness being scalable, and the bigger your corporation gets, it ain't gonna be fair. Okay, make it simple. War. Is war fair? Is war fair to anybody? When has war been fair? War is a necessary must, but it ain't fair. Look, I can tell you, I don't like them. I don't got no problem with the Russians. Why I gotta go fight them motherfuckers? You don't care what you did. I don't even eat your shit. I grow my own shit. I don't care. Because, and when the Russian comes over here, he'll be like, oh, wait. You're the ones that don't care, so we won't shoot you. You care. Bow. The shit ain't fair. That's why I used to like Game of Thrones, because it was like, it really talked about real human nature, which is good don't always win.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I guess my bigger question was just how do you keep that from spiraling out to becoming like just complete collapse?
Because when it's equitable and you're rewarding people, they feel like there's a fairness based upon the equitable system, right? It's when you make things inequitable that you try just as hard as I do, but I just don't even recognize you, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everybody should have this, everybody should do that. Now, I do believe that you keep a society healthier by investing at the bottom, because the top's gonna take care of itself, right? So I do believe that you gotta always rise your base. Your base has to always rise, right? And that base, like in America right now, we all have it way better than almost any other place in the world, because in America you can eat every day without money. You can literally eat every day without money. You might have to figure it out, but you can eat every day without money. In some places you can figure out what the fuck you want, you ain't gonna eat, right? There is also basic health care. Like, for example, you don't have no money, you can go to Highland and say, I ain't got no money and my knee's bleeding, and they're gonna take care of you, right? There's certain things you get in America that you just can't get in other places. And you gotta always rise that tide, right? Which allows everybody to benefit from the bottom to the top. But some people get mad at every incident, because there's some people who seek out unfairness and they are overwhelmed by unfairness. And I say to them all the time, so? Like, you can't get rid of bad people. Try it. I'll wait for you to tell me when it's going to happen, right? You can't get rid of greed. It's been here forever. But people always preach about like, oh, greed is bad. Okay, it's here, bro. It is. Envy, it's here. Some things, it's not to teach hopelessness. It's saying some of this stuff is noise. The information we should be paying attention to, because at the end of the day, if we're all entrepreneurs, listen to what I'm saying with this. If we're all entrepreneurs trying to build, how does it profit us to spend our time worrying about things that don't really change? Right? And if you want to have an impact, in a perfect society, if you build a perfect society, you're gonna build a perfect society where everything's equal for everybody. When they try to provide equality for certain communities, okay, for example, let's say somebody's going, we're gonna bring equality to East Oakland. If you're in that community and they say, okay, all right, Scott, you and your partners, I want you to give everybody the same amount of money, no matter what they've been doing, how they take care of their family. You're like, him? Oh, what you mean him? Are you not being equitable? Not being fair? But no, he ain't. You get what I'm going with this? And that's subjective.
I totally get what you're saying. I just was curious about when the fairness gets out of hand. But I think, you cleared all of it.
Yeah, so I believe in equality.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
I absolutely believe in equality. I believe in higher morality, right? I believe in strong values. Somehow fairness has become this illusion, this hallucination that you're going to control that. And it just doesn't. Like you said, somebody who's amazing looking going to get different treatment than somebody who's less amazing looking.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not do it, but you ain't the world, player.
Oh, for sure. I hope not.
Yeah, and so the reality is that, and it may not be the right person for you, and maybe the right person come along with you, and you do the same thing. You know, you did it. The reality is that that's human. That's what we do. We can't be. You might got kids. Are you fair all the time to kids? No. We got one kid, you lie to yourself. I'm always fair. Well, I would fuck with you, but I won't mess with you. But if you have kids, you can't be fair to all your kids all the time. It's not functional. Let me go bigger than this. Let me go bigger. One more layer. So let's get out of the mic, because I feel like we're too micro. Let's go macro. The most important thing is the outcome of the greater whole. And if you lose focus of the greater whole, then the fairness creates a binary distraction that, once again, is no different than being right versus wrong. It's the same impact. At some point, you have to realize that as you build bigger systems, you're gonna even hurt some things you thought you liked. Because some of the things you fell in love with at the bottom, they're gonna change their meaning as you get closer to the top. Like, envy your best friend who picked your kids up from school, who ran to your house one day when you thought a thief was coming to your house. You make $10 million, and they ain't made no money, but they ain't did nothing. But they think part of their money, your money, is their money. And the first time you tell them no, it's not fair to them. You want to satisfy that fairness, or do you realize I can't do that? That's what I'm coming. Envy changes the equation of fairness. It's not like fairness is a perfect rule and everybody just following the exact rule like AI. And then when I change the system, I'm AI affecting the computer. It's not binary code in the computer. Fairness is moving, perception is moving, all these influences are moving, and then when you keep responding to fairness, you're no longer responding to the customer you're serving.
That's why what you were talking about at the beginning of this, a lot of relationships are failing because people's distorted sense of fairness and what they need to bring to the table and what you need to bring and what they think you're not bringing and what you're supposed to be bringing. That bullshit sense of fairness is why relationships ain't working.
Relationships are never 50-50. It's a 10-90 movement. It changes like this. 1 minute you're 90%, 1 minute I'm 90%. That's what relationships are. That perfect 50-50 is just not realistic because we have an outside world to respond to. That's like a dude running to the house right now. 2 dudes running with guns. I'm a shooter. I got guns in the room. And I'm like, yo, girl, what you doing hiding? Get the keys. Everybody get a gun. Let's go. You look at me like, no, I believe in 50-50. What the hell is wrong with you? You're the professional shooter. You got the angle. You got the drop. And you got your kids and wife in the middle of this? Well, I believe in 50-50. so like fair. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, but fairness. I just say like the fairness game is such a weird game because even when somebody, have you ever had somebody ask for equality or fairness, but they don't understand the deficit of fairness? Mm-hmm. Fairness costs. Okay, let's say I say, I want to make half the decisions. Oh, let me use Jordan Poole. I want to be recognized just as much as you. Cool. Now, can you be blamed just as much as me? Oh. Can you sacrifice just as much as me? Out. Can I give up these things that you give up? No, I don't want to do all that. The brain is horrible in understanding what fairness requires. Mm-hmm. If white people tomorrow said, look, okay, fine, we equal. So, cut the PG&E, cut the water, cut everything. Tell them to figure their own shit out, we out. Audi 5000. Y'all be like, oh, wait. I don't even want to live in more for this. You can keep most of it though. Like, oh, you can't drive your cars on my freeway no more. IRS is telling you right now, anything you make in my country, I want 100%. I don't know, 30% my ass. I want write-offs. You don't get a write-off because I'm running shit. I'm running things. like literally cream corn. If y'all ever watch what's the name? Blackout, whatever. Anyway, so the point is this. But the thing is that you don't realize that, do you understand the responsibility that you're asking for? And what goes into that responsibility? Do you know what it is to govern people? And what's the level of governing people? I'm not responsible for wiping your ass, but I am responsible for the water system. I'm not responsible for how your life goes, but I am responsible for that opportunity system that exists. And if you don't understand this different level of this responsibility and fairness game, it gets human beings, you can give human beings the world, and tomorrow they'll tell you they have nothing because they saw somebody with something better. So fair is so relative. Because really, every American should be able to say, yo, we live in large. We're living better than most of the world. We're not even, we're like, no, we're not even 1%. No. No, we're half a percentage of the world. Right? We're 0.5% of the world. And we're living better than everybody in the world. And we're unsatisfied because I don't have as much as Bill Gates. I don't have as much as that person over there. Last point, I'm going home on this one. Say this real quick. I'm going home. You know another thing is called, so remember Core talked about the survivor mindset? Here's a rule of survivor mindset. People in survivor mindset will make money, then move or buy things to make themselves feel better, to only be broke again and be back in survivor mode again. They don't know. So for example, let's say you made $1 million, and so you move to Oakland Hills and spending $1.5 million and having $10 million in the bank and the freedom to move the way you want to move. You move to Black Hawk, spend $3 to $4 million. The cost of living goes way up. You'll stay there, but it's now you down to the cost you were living before you blew up. And now you feel broke even though you live in a successful life, because at the end of the day, because you're in survivor mode, you always want to feel valuable over everything. And so you keep creating this pattern of, I'm going to get more to feel poor. I'm going to get more to feel poor.
You keep rhyming, cuz.
You know what I'm saying? You
keep rhyming on accident.
Hey, not a new shit coming out next week. You know what I'm saying? I'm my cousin Javon doing a running man behind me. I'll be like, yo, what you doing? Anyway. But you guys see I'm going with this shit, that this bigger concept of individual fairness and individual norms, if we don't understand these hidden complexities, this is why some of us can't find a purpose. I'm going to add to the ego thing. It's because we don't see systems. We're so micro on what we see. All I feel is I did or did not eat tomorrow. I can't think about the world. I can't think about the children. I can't think about nothing, because only thing in my brain, it's not that I can't think about it if you gave it to me and you forced me to sit down and I had all the food I wanted. By the way, eating to your food is also a survival thing. But it's this thing where you don't have any space because your cup is full with survival. So much you're missing. You're missing so much shit that's happening around you. And I say, what's your purpose? What you really want to say is to eat tomorrow, or to eat at this restaurant I really like, or have me a fat ass shake. That's what you really want to say. But you feel like, I ain't gonna say that shit. They're gonna laugh at me. So you be like, oh shit. Help black people? Huh? What? What'd I say? You know what I said? Genius, huh? And I say that, I say it too. But until you learn to see, go back to the wolf and the dog. Dog doesn't see the invisible systems. The wolf goes out and they see, oh shit, all these invisible systems that dictate their ability to survive. So when you see the systems, you start saying, hey, this stream right here is getting thin. I want to fix that stream, otherwise it's going to fuck up the ecosystem and we're all going to suffer. The dog is really simple. Owner coming tomorrow, what do you want to fix? Can I get some more grass? I don't know. Shit, I don't know. Can you change the food sometimes? I don't know. Pick B. That's a dog world. So it's hard for a dog to imagine what they want to do. Even when a dog tells you what they want to do about the real world, they ain't never been out in the wilderness to tell you about the real world. I want to change the world. Well, what's the world look like? You've been in this backyard your whole fucking life. Some of y'all been in Oakland, San Francisco your whole life. Go to Las Vegas, then you go to all the places where black people hang out and stay at the hotel. You live in a cage. You ain't never walked outside of your comfort zones a day in your life. So at the end of the day, we'll finish this map first terrain when we come back. But I wanted to land this idea. Real quick, Marquita's having her brunch this Saturday. Oh my God, I almost forgot. She had this brunch this Saturday. Yo, tickets are been on sale, but the last day of sales tomorrow. I think it's like $100. We get like 5-course meal. Y'all know that's cheap now, right? Isn't that crazy? 5-course meal for $100 is dirt cheap. It used to be, that's Denny money. But anyway, you know, I don't know if you guys had That's My Jam. Anybody had That's My Jam? Well, if you hadn't heard her jam, her shit is, first of all, that girl is cold-blooded. Let me say that woman, like her creativity in this space is sick with it. Marquita loves to serve. Don't get it twisted. That's one thing I can, like if somebody put a gun in my head and say, tell me one thing about Marquita, I'd be like, she loves to serve. Okay, I dodged that motherfucking bullet, right? She loves to serve. If you ever see Marquita set up even, Marquita's a small business that feels big. She's so meticulous in details that large businesses focus on. It's amazing. Her flavors are so well thought out. When you taste her food, you don't even need to meet her. Taste it, you go, oh, they gave thought to this. You can tell she gave thought to it. I'm gonna tell a quick story. Marquita used to get in her car and drive from Oakland to Fairfield every weekend to hand-pick fruits. That's weird as fuck to me. And I admire that. But that's a dope-ass story. She puts that kind of care into what goes into your stomach. So she's having this, her and the chef have got together and they're going to put her jelly jam in all the 5 courses. He's going to feature her jam in all the 5 courses. And it's happening Saturday. Well, I'm going to buy my ticket. I'm going to try to get there. It's kind of early in the morning, so I might come in the end and say, did y'all put me some in the styrofoam? Because you know me, that early morning shit is hard for me to do. But the point is this, I'm going to try to show up. But I'm saying to y'all, look, go get a ticket, support our sister. She's part of Hope. Those of y'all online. It's $100. Come on, quit acting like $100 mean like that. Y'all know $100 is like $20 for the pass. Go spend that $20 now. Go support your sister. She's doing business right. If she was trashy, I would have told y'all. I'd be like, yo, Marquis doing some shit on the weekend. Go figure it out, right? I think she sent everybody emails. I think it's in the Facebook group too. If you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group because I'm been posting some cool shit and y'all don't be responding, so I'm getting sensitive. Anyway, pause this. And so,
Me too.
yeah, there's been some good shit I done posted. Look here. Support Marquita. And also too, when I hear other stuff that Hope people are doing, that's what support. You know, like I said, we support Fern, Black Girl Magic. Oh, and Agnes. Hey y'all, give a shout out to Agnes. Agnes got us in Black Enterprise. That sister's that. Hey, first of all, let me say this real quick. Brothers, all the black men, because we have a lot of brothers online, brothers in space. My Jewish partner, you know my brother anyway. I don't give a shit. You my brother. Scott, no, he's my Scottish brother. That's why I roll with him. Josiah's my Metro brother, but he's real close. Like so, you know what is that? I love us all. But here's the real quick. Agnes, I told y'all, black women are the coldest, undervalued resources in our community. The networking system, black women in corporate America are like knives. They cut into the system, make shit happen. They will carve out spaces for us. Like they will get us that corporate money, right? And you guys are missing the fucking point. Stop this stupidity of, because I'm trying to see this little dumbness rise up where black men are becoming envious of black women's momentum. And you know, oh, that's some of that woman stuff, that feminine. Look, y'all need to plug in, and I ain't talking about sleep with them, right? Because some of y'all got it wrong. Because I got to talk to my man for a second. Some of y'all think when y'all connect to women, y'all got to sleep with them. I'm telling you, if you are performing, this is a message to black men and black women. If you are performing, one of the greatest marketing teams you will ever have are black women who just know you. They will put your name out there in ways and demand that these folks show up and pay you what you deserve. They will even call you and say, look, I know your bill was 100, but make it 200 because you need more than that. I'm telling y'all. So Agnes, in the tradition of powerful Black women in our community who do amazing things that are under-acknowledged, underappreciated, under-recognized. I've been in this business for 18 years. You know how many bags Black women have made sure I gain access to? And they do it in the love of loving their community. Black women have been activists for a long ass time. Like, Black men were heavily, I'm not attacking Black men because we were under heavy attack by white supremacy to suppress the group. I get it. But guess who continued to raise our kids and hold our head up strong through all that shit? And then when you perform, they bring those resources to you like you never believe. Agnes don't have to fuck with us like that. But Agnes rides hard. And y'all know Agnes, when Agnes come in here, these lights get bright on their own. The motherfucking sun be following everywhere in the fuck she go. So just want to say real quick, shout out to Agnes. I love you, girl. Thanks for the love. Black Girl Magic, they showing so much love to us. Shout out to them as well. Michael Bush, high-performing Black man, multi-millionaire, crazy. Since thousands. He ride with us. Shout out to him as well. Love you, Michael Bush. Another dope-ass brother. But I just want to say, at some point, somebody needs to write a book on the power of Black women. And if we just get in the right place with our own women, we can make some shit happen. And I think Latino women have a lot of that same fire too. Because I know the Latino Task Force in San Francisco and is ran by a Latino woman, and that's one of the dopest community organizations I've ever seen in my life, no matter what race you want to call it from. And she moves she got, I was at 2.4 million, or was it 24 million? Some crazy, was it 24 million?
24.
Yeah, she got 24 million at the beginning of COVID to support her people, and unapologetically, and she ran that shit. So this woman is just like, and by the way, she said she learned from Malcolm X.
Yeah.
She's a student of Malcolm X, which is hella tight. So anyway, so I'm just saying, celebrate our women, celebrate Agnes. Love you guys. And I see y'all next week. And once again, let's give shout out to Court. Court killed the game. Court, thank you so much for hitting this. Ego never goes away. I think ego needs to be a class. And to this, as long as I'm alive, ego is going to be a part of this class every year because it's something you got to keep working on. So with that being said, the map is not the terrain. Have a good night.